mean, isn't that just kind of par for the course at this point?
Yeah.
Why are you exhausted, Masters?
2020.
Also, just par for the course at this point. I don't think. I think at this point, the level of just 2020 exhaustion just needs to be kind of ignored, moved on with. Life is not that bad, maybe, possibly.
I didn't say life was bad. I said I was tired.
Same difference. Masters. Masters.
Mm-hmm.
This has been an interesting.
Has it?
Well, you were there for most of it. I mean, for really all of it. Lots of things
Are you
happening.
referring to Friday?
I am referring to Friday, but
Well,
probably
that's
not
not a
the way
week. That was one day.
I mean, hey, this is 2020, and we've talked about it now at least 2 episodes that 2020 is fantastic at compressing time frames. We had about a week's worth of stuff happen on Friday.
Not good. Ah, you're not wrong.
And let's
Still
be
no response, by the way.
hey, no. We're going to talk about the most important thing first.
Oh, Mando.
Exactly.
I told you. I mean, you were. That's the second time you've been wrong about Mando, by the way.
What do you mean?
First, 3 weeks ago, you said that we wouldn't see Ahsoka until season 3.
No,
Then we saw Ahsoka 2 episodes later. Then you said we wouldn't get to the mountain until season 3, and it was the very next episode.
I figured we were going to. Yeah, I mean, did I really say that about Ahsoka? Because
You really did.
I
Yep.
don't recall that. Sass, fact check, please. Um, um, I don't recall saying that about Ahsoka. I thought for sure that was going. Yeah, as soon as I heard Rosario Dawson was being cast, I pretty sure I thought we were going to see her this season. But I stand ready to be corrected on that. Um, I I will admit to the I didn't think we were going to get to um the sending stone or whatever it was until the end of the season, but I'm not upset with the way things have turned out.
Absolutely not. Uh, Empire Strikes Back vibes? Anybody?
Uh ish, no, yes, maybe, possibly. I
I
am
mean, the bad guys won this episode for now.
for now, yeah.
But I mean, it was for now in Empire Strikes Back too.
Yeah. There's just a lot going on here, and I'm really really excited with where they've left things. Also how they got there. Like this, by my estimation, this might be now the best episode of this season. Even if
Absolutely.
even though it is so much shorter than all
Like
the other ones.
like they've gotten progressively better every episode. Like I walk out of every episode since the bug one going, this was the best episode. This was the best episode. No, this was the best episode.
Uh, I think I'd have to go 6, maybe 3 or 1. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm ranking them a little bit differently. This one is just fun, and it gets a lot of stuff done. Like a lot of stuff done, and it sets up a bunch of things for to be done in future episodes. Um,
Yeah. I
sometimes
thought it.
sometimes it
I
really helps to just have the right director.
You're
Don't want to
wrong.
don't want to say anything
Um,
against anyone else, but John Favreau directing, like this one was like it was
did he
tight.
direct this one?
Yes, he directed this one. I checked.
He's directed a lot of them this time. Then
No. So Carl Weathers did number 4. Bryce Dallas Howard did number 3. Um, I think Dave Filoni did
because
episode 1.
let's see here.
Bring it up.
Because it was not this past episode that I looked at it and it said directed by Dave Filoni. I
Ah,
didn't look
Dave
at it this time.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are not the same person.
Oh, who are we talking about? Who did you say?
Jon Favreau.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Dave Filoni.
So Dave Filoni, I think, directed episode 2, and I think he also did episode 1, but I'm not sure.
I'm trying to pull up the episode list. Let's see here.
The Jedi. Director for episode 1 is...
I think chapter 13, The Jedi, was directed by Dave.
I could see that.
Because I think, okay, so Jon Favreau did episode 1. Peyton Reed did episode 2. Bruce Dallas Howard did episode 3. Carl
Nice.
Weathers did episode 4. Dave Filoni did episode 5. And Robert Rodriguez did episode 6.
Really? Said Jon Favreau directed.
Jon Favreau was one of the writers.
Okay. But Robert Rodriguez, that also makes a lot of sense because he's also a fantastic director. In fact, he directed one of my favorite movies from a couple years ago, Alita Battle Angel. And
so,
yeah,
Jon Favreau has written every episode except for episode 5, The Jedi. He co-wrote it with Dave Filoni.
Right.
And I could see that too.
Well, Dave Filoni, Ahsoka is Dave Filoni's character.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yes, respond to that.
Yes, I know. That's for later in the episode. But yeah, just a great episode.
It was.
I mean,
actually, me and Mumbles group watched it at the same time.
why was I not invited to this?
Well, I went to go watch it yesterday around 2 my time, and I told Monkey and him, I told Monkey and him that I was going to watch it, and he messaged me and said, "Send me a link." And I didn't know if he was joking or not, so I sent him a link, and he accepted it, and we watched it together.
Second, I'm trying to work through this.
I know thinking and talking at the same time is hard, isn't it?
Well, not so much thinking and talking, but being part of 2 different conversations at the same time. That is more difficult. All right, I've responded. Yes, the tragedy. We got there was a ton of stuff that happened. Like, just everything possible. Number 1, they get to the planet. Didn't expect that. That was,
I mean, at the very beginning of the episode too.
And I'm like,
he was like, "We're here," and I'm like, "Wait, we're here?" Well, that was quick.
Then we get to see Grogu doing like major mystical Jedi stuff that was not expected.
Oh yeah.
And then
so at the end when he's trying to get him, come on, we gotta go, and he does it. He tries 2 or 3 times and gets knocked on his butt every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end he goes, "Okay, well just stay there."
Hurry and finish up. And then okay, since we're talking about the Jedi stuff, holy crap, the end of it when he's in the cell.
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, he's crossing
throwing people around, force choking people.
He's crossing so many Jedi lines. I love it.
He was trying so hard, but he's so little. He's so small. He couldn't do it. He had to sleep.
And I'm like, Grogu, you are attacking the wrong person. It's the one in the black armor who looks big and scary. Choke him. That's, I mean,
And then he tried to take the saber from him, but he was too sweepy.
like, anyway.
I've also been making it a point of downvoting YouTube videos and Twitter comments that call him Baby Yoda. That was wrong to begin with, and so it should be punished.
Okay. That's, you know what? I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. Let it. I'm just. I mean, I have fully embraced calling him Grogu. I still think it's a little bit of a weird word to say, but I've fully
Yeah,
embraced it.
I'm I'm okay with people still calling him the child or the kid,
Uh huh.
but but, but he was never Baby Yoda.
Right. I gotcha. Um. There's so much stuff happening. I'm like, I was so happy. I wish I'd have had time to watch it a second time today, but I didn't.
I really want to know who named him though. Was it John Favreau or was it Dave Filoni? Did somebody else come up with the name? And I'm sure
Gotta
that'll all be revealed when they do the behind the scenes stuff.
probably. Grogu seems like a John Favreau. That seems very much like something with um just just knowing him, the little bit that I know about him. Um, do, 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 do. Yeah, I mean, it just made me. Yeah, there was nothing that made me, upset. Like uh, there was nothing in the episode that ticked my button, that like pushed my buttons on, like, oh, I don't like that. Like everything was just very tight and very well directed and very well acted, and
So I'm sure that we knew this. I didn't know this, but the fact that the actor of Jango Fett came back to play Boba Fett,
oh yeah, we knew that back in episode 1.
I didn't.
Like we saw him.
Well, I didn't recognize him with the cloak. I'm not that good. I'm not you, JC.
um
I have my faults, man.
so many, apparently not as many as I do, but we'll talk about that later too. And um
I'm confused by that statement, but I'm not going to correct you.
uh like there's also a really cool cameo that's been popping up in this episode, this season. um her name is
Also,
Kate.
I really like Ming Na Wen. Ming
We're
Na
not
Wen.
there yet.
Oh,
Yet.
okay.
There, we're gonna get there.
I mean, I've just liked her as an actress for a long time now, so.
I mean, there's a reason for quite some time that Mulan was my favorite Disney movie, and then I had better sense. But like one thing, like, okay, so side character thing, Katie O'Brien plays the comms officer under Moff Gideon, and she actually is actually a cameo from one of the new Star Wars games that came out. I forget, Fallen Jedi or something like that. I didn't play that Star
Yeah.
Wars game. I feel
Fallen
like
Order.
Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
I feel like a failure because I haven't played that one.
I haven't played it either.
But I should probably
It
do
costs
that.
money.
It does.
Which I don't know why I say that. I bought Squadrons and we haven't played that either.
I've um we'll play more. I'm taking all next week off. We have time. Um but yeah. We had Boba Fett. We had Fennec Shand back, which I was so like in her episode 5, I believe it was, of season 1. I felt like that was just massively wasted potential, because like she is a really cool character, and then like, oh yeah, she's dead. I'm like, oh. And then you see the boots show up. You're like, oh, is that? And everyone at the time was like, is that Boba Fett? Because that looks like Boba Fett. That sounds like Boba Fett. That looks like Boba Fett. Yeah, it's got to be Boba Fett. And they're like, no, it's totally not Boba Fett. And yeah, it totally was Boba Fett. Um, um,
Okay. So, this is for the World's Worst Podcast channel, but we're not going to talk about it. Continue.
Um,
Boba Fett.
so yes, Boba Fett. Like right off the bat, just steals the show because number one, Boba Fett, man. Like how could you be unhappy with Boba Fett? Plus, they're this is the first time that we've had this actor come in and play him, so this actually lends continuity and clarification to existing lore. Um, there was a possibility back in the day that the Boba Fett that we saw on screen was not actually Boba Fett, the son of Jango, but it would have potentially been someone else who encountered Boba Fett at some point along the way, killed Boba Fett, and just took over his identity. Now that we actually have this actor on screen playing Boba Fett, we can throw that out and say, nope, 100%, this is the son of Jango, and all the conjecture about that is gone, which is really cool.
Yep.
That's great for continuity. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of his look and aesthetic, even without his Mandalorian armor. He just looks like a guy who's been living on the desert for the last 30 years, even though it's actually only been like 5 or 6.
Well,
Apparently.
he also cried them out of the mouth of us.
Sarlacc? Is that the word you're looking for? Yes. Yes, he did.
I was going to say a Snorlax, but I know that's not right.
Yeah.
So that's why I stopped. That's why I just stopped talking. I knew you'd fill in the blank for me.
Plus, he also, I mean, everything he does just shows him to be like a cut above, and which is what we expect Boba Fett to be anyway. Like we expect him to be a cut above everything else. He presents himself as a cut above Din Djarin, who is the new Mandalorian, as we're all falling in love with oh so quickly. But as soon as he turns up and like they start engaging with you,
go back. Say that again.
I said Boba Fett.
Are you telling me the Mandalorian has a name?
The Mandalorian has had a name since the last episode of season 1. His name is Din Djarin. Where have you been?
I don't remember details like
that. Why I'm here.
Obvious.
Anyway, so Din Djarin is like, he's good, but Boba Fett comes in and he's like, you guys seem to be having some difficulty with these stormtroopers. Let me clear that up for you. and
when he first started to, like, when they were surrounded and he first started attacking, I was like, oh, he went and got the ship. Nope. That was just all him.
Walk me through that.
When the Mandalorian and the sniper lady were back to back shooting at the stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers just kept coming.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Off screen, he starts shooting at them, and I'm thinking, oh, he went and got the ship, but no, he just went and got his armor, and now he's kicking butt.
They also did a thing with so all Mandalorian armor is heavily customizable, very heavily customizable.
Yes,
which is one of the cool things about it. That's why even especially in like cosplayers and things like that, there's the Imperial 501st where people dress up like Star Wars characters, but they dress up as specific Star Wars characters in as close an approximation to that particular character's aesthetic as possible. There is a subset of the Imperial 501st called the Mando Mercs, or the Mandalorian Mercs, and they are people who dress up like Mandalorians because they enjoy the customization ability or the customizability of the Mandalorian armor, because it's designed to be customized for every individual Mandalorian. And
are we going to talk about boob armor now?
No, we're not talking about boob armor. That was 3 episodes ago. This one is talking about the functionality of his armor is markedly different than Din Djarin. So Din Djarin, on his left gauntlet, he has the whistling birds. Yeah, yep. the whistling birds. The other one, he's got a flamethrower and a little cable and a couple other things that have or have not been brought out. Boba Fett, He's got blasters. He's got a wrist rocket. He's got the same flamethrower. He's got
Rocket.
the
Well,
grappling cable. He's got the rocket on his jetpack, which I think eventually we'll see Din Djarin get one of those. He just hasn't gotten it yet. But we also saw a really cool theorized thing, and this is for people who are like super into. I mean, kind of all of this is for people who are super into Star Wars
yep.
micro details. Anyway, um, like his um his knee uh his knee armor. Like he has knee pads on there, but Boba Fett's knee pads have weapons on them, and he used those. In case you missed that part.
I probably missed that part.
So after he gets the armor, um, you know, Fennec and Din Djarin, they're back to back. They're shooting people. They're starting like, hey, this is looking kind of rough. Din's getting shot up, all kinds of stuff. And then you see a couple blaster bolts hit. You see a charge come down and blows up a couple stormtroopers. And then Boba Fett's there, and he's just taking names, um, racking up bodies. And so stormtroopers are coming at him, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get him. He's just one more guy. And then like he they pan back just enough so you can see him like just below the knees, and you see this little puffs of smoke and stuff. So I'm not sure if they're like slug throwers or if they're like little mini rockets or if that's like his version of whistling birds or if they're actually just like little blasters or something down there. But like he starts shooting people out of his knees. And I'm like, oh yes, they did go that far. I now know for a fact that this episode was made by true Star Wars fans because only true Star Wars fans would have that level of detail. We're not going to get any of that from some other folks. But these guys are like, yes, we're doing this. And they just pops up and just starts shooting people out of his knees. I mean, that's just cool. That's like little micro details that most people are going to miss entirely. But for those of us who've been paying attention for the last 30 years, it's like, holy crap, they did it. Finally, it's on screen. It's awesome. Let me see. Is this? Can I see it here? Yeah, kinda. So there's a cut and paste. So right, paste. So I'm just gonna throw this in here. So here he is, and you can see on his knee pads there that he has like little thing on the outside of the armor piece, which is a totally different setup from Din Djarin in the first place. But because it's lower down, it's not actually covering his thigh, but it's more functional because it's actually a weapon. Well, maybe not more functional, but differently functional. It's more offensive than defensive, and that is one thing that you can definitely draw as a contrast between the two. And even with a couple of the other Mandalorians that we've seen so far. So like okay, so Din Djarin, he is a tank. Like he is covered, he is well armored everywhere. That's why he can take 9-12 shots and be just fine. Boba Fett has a little bit less armor on. There's less areas of his body covered, but he makes up for that by just having more parts of him that shoot things. So it's kind of like the difference between a guy who's just like going full in, I'm going to tank every hit, and being someone who's like, I'm going to give every hit. You guys have got to keep up. And I think it's just a great balance, a great way to balance out the two characters. You don't have exactly the same character running around in armor going, I don't know who's under that one armor. It doesn't really matter because they're doing the same thing. It's actually giving a specific defined role between the two of them to kind of trade off back and forth. Shush. Also, I was happy to see Slave One, and I realized something again. I realized this like when I first started watching Mandalorian, and then this episode really brought it into the forefront. But you didn't really realize it unless you had some further information. Back in 2002, I believe, there's a game called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was the story of Jango Fett and how he came to be recruited by Count Dooku to be the template for the clone army. And in that video game, we saw how Jango Fett and ultimately Boba Fett came to be in possession of the Slave One ship, which is one of the most iconic ships. Like, in my mind, iconic ships in Star Wars, it's the Millennium Falcon, probably an X-wing because people are X-wing fanatics, and then Slave One. Um,
Is
just
that
in
what Bubba's ship is called?
Yeah, it's called the Slave One, and there's a number of different reasons for that, but I won't get into that level of nerdiness for you. I will be kind. But what is interesting is that the Razor Crest, the ship that Din Djarin was flying around. What?
That blew up.
Yeah. I'll get to that. Is actually, so the Razor Crest is actually a Mandalorian dropship. Like, that is a Mandalorian make, and it's designed for rapid descent and like quickly divesting itself of a troop of Mandalorian Mandalorian warriors to go and do whatever they're going to do. And so, number one, it's a pre-Republic era antique that's already been well established. That's why they used it in episode 6 of the last season. That's why in episode 2 of this season, like, there was an issue about the transponder, as it were. But Jango, Boba Fett's father, initially had one of these same ships, and in that same game, you actually get to see the story of how Jango lost that ship and actually ended up acquiring the Slave One, which is just it's kind of a weird story that plays out in that one, but I mean, it's right in line with everything Star Wars, and I love it. It's a great game, and it lends a lot to some of the just minor background details of things and how they happened, like even down to the point of like Zem Wessel, the changeling from episode 2. Also, since you're talking about the Razor Crest getting destroyed, we should talk about the Razor Crest getting destroyed. I think that was a terrible mistake by Moff Gideon. Like, I think that was a terrible, ill-planned out thought. I'm sure he was thinking like, oh, I'm just going to prevent this guy from following me. Well,
now you can't track him.
And he's going to find you. So this is now becoming like Taken. I will find you. And it's just like this is now the story. You took the kid, he's gonna come find you. He's going to kill you. A lot.
Oh, by the way, you also get your wish and get yourself a prison break.
Yes, I am so happy that Bill Burr is coming back for his role in this series. He is my favorite character from season 1, and I like when he was giving interviews, he's like, this was a one-time thing. I am never going to come back to this. It was a great fun. I wish I could. Great character. I enjoyed it, but I'm never going to get the shots again. And then it's like, oh no, hey, would you like to come back and like be part of the team? Because he is like, that is what this one is doing so well. Even, okay, so it might be a little bit weird that Fennec is back because, you know, really looked like she died. But I mean, I was actually just reading an article before we started here about how it was that she's able to come back. And it's like, okay, yeah, totally in-world stuff can make that happen. Is it likely that they'd be able to get her to those kind of facilities in time to make that happen? No. But I'm willing to suspend disbelief because she's a great character, and I will, you know, I'm going to be happy about it in general because she's also great.
Yes, the actress.
The actress and the character. I think the character has a lot to lend to this. She's very well written. She was very well written in the first episode. I think that there was a little bit of an underplaying of the story that went on between her and Boba Fett when she says, you know, he brought me back and now I serve him. I think that there's probably a lot more that could have been put in there. But I think at the same time, the reason they didn't put that in was because, like, didn't specifically explain that was, number one, it would kind of slow down the pacing. And as this was directed by Robert Rodriguez, that's not really his style to slow down anything. Obviously, but also it would kind of distracted from the
main story.
The main story, like, this is not their story; it's Din Djarin's story, and so to be like, hey, here's how this happened. Let's do a flashback and show everything. It's not really necessary. She's here. She's still awesome. I'm very happy she's now on the good guy side. There's an argument to be made that she kind of was in the beginning. And she was just a convenient bounty that could have gotten picked up on Tatooine, but we don't really have any sort of strong evidence for that one way or the other. I am immensely happy that they're going to be like the first season. There was like the team. There was um an unfortunately disposable character because Queel was awesome. I wish he could have stuck around, but I mean, I understand why they had to kind of,
Queel?
yeah, the Ugnaught.
The Ugnaught?
It was spoken.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Queel is
Cool.
dead. I wish he was a great character, but I can understand how if out of the like main cast, as it were, the group of people who were surrounding them, who were surrounding and kind of supporting this initiative to defend Grogu from the Empire. Um, I can understand how Queel would have been like one of those people who would have been the the first to go. Old, he's trying to retire. He just wants to be left alone. He's doing this just kind of out of the goodness of his heart, and he just basically doesn't want to be here at all. Um, the IG unit, understand how that one goes down. Not a big deal. Cara Dune, and Grief Karga, both of those have legitimate roles to play, and they're continuing to play them and in a much larger sense now in season 2 because she's now a fully officiated member of the New Republic. She's a sheriff out here or a marshal or whatever they're going to say, and she now has access to the Republic records, and she can help him figure out where this guy is that they need to go help and break out Baby Yoda. Which darn it, I said it, darn it.
Oh my goodness. Bye. I'm gonna end the podcast there because I can't be part of this thing anymore.
Darn it. I'm sorry, Masters. Anyway, Grogu. There we go. So, yeah, major cool things there. And Grief Karga, he's probably got something else to do, but I'm not sure what it is yet. I get the feeling like there's going to be a cutback to the planet that they're on at some point, probably in the next 2 episodes, and they're going to kind of root out Moff Gideon's spy and saboteur, and he'll have some major part to play in that, which will be cool. Plus, so his party is maintaining about the same size. There's Din Djarin, Cara Dune, and there's Grief Karga, who make up the core. And now we have 2 new characters coming in to replace the 2 characters who were in the previous spots, IG unit and Wheel. Now we have Boba Fett and Fennec, which, I mean, if you're gonna have an upgrade, pick Boba Fett, right? If you're gonna have an upgrade, pick the deadliest bounty hunter in the galaxy. I also really like just the way that they presented Boba Fett in his armor. It's clear that he is not at full capacity, as it were. He's put on some weight. He's got scars all over himself. But that is not diminishing his deadliness. He is making up for any sort of physical limitations through the maintenance of his skill level. He is good at what he does, and he's demonstrating that to a very high capacity. Again, just on point. I kind of feel like they may have wasted the presentation of the Death Trooper bots or whatever they are. I wish that they had been kind of kept in reserve. There was other ways to capture Grogu without just dropping them in.
Autobots, roll out.
Exactly. I mean, I think that those would have worked out as a much better reveal later on. When they first they show up and they're working their way through a horde of stormtroopers, and they turn the corner and there's like a bunch of black robots just facing them down, and they just lay into it and and just do it. I think that might have been a better way to introduce them and their capabilities, because this one they didn't really do much of anything that could not have been done by pretty much anyone else. Personal opinion, people can disagree with me. They're still cool looking, although They're okay. That was one thing. The CG on them, you know, it's like a 7 out of 10. I was really happy though to see like a lot of so like the in like the siege going up to the seeing stone or whatever it was. Um, the I was really impressed with the expansion of the Imperial arsenal for doing things like that, like the mortars. And yeah, they set up an E-web blaster that was cool. I was kind of shocked, like, hey, I'm looking at these Imperial dropships. They have guns on them, like big guns. Why didn't they just shoot at some of these folks before they landed? just it just seems like a legitimate question that might be asked at some point, um, or probably should have been asked before they landed on the died. Um,
My main question is, how did Grogu not die in the vacuum of space?
Grogu have died in the vacuum of space. They were never in space.
They flew him up to the ship that
That
was in
was
space.
that's not in space. It like that was just above the cloud level. It was thin air, but it wasn't the dead of space. Yeah, that's not space. That's totally survivable. Um,
Um,
Sorry, more people messaging me. Got distracted. Sorry. Um, yeah, I'm just so excited. Like everything was just on point. Good. Like some people I saw on Friday before I had seen it that people were complaining about the length of the episode that was too short. Like, oh, we wish it had got more. And I'm like, no. After seeing it, like this just flowed well. There was no.
I was watching it and I kept going, ah, crap, it's over now. Is it already over? Wait, it's still going? Wait, it's still going? I kept finding myself looking at how much longer it had left in it because I kept feeling like it was about to end.
Mm-hmm.
So no, not too short.
Like I said, it comes down a lot of times to director. And Robert Rodriguez is a master of making things just flow and keep going. Um, I've seen a number of his films, and that is something like if there's a strident criticism which can be applied to his directorial style, it is that there's rarely a time to catch your breath. He just moves along, and some people don't like it, but in terms of like this episode and what this episode needed to get done, I can't imagine anyone who would have been able to do a better job. It was pitch perfect. I loved every second of it.
No, that's a different movie.
What's a different movie?
Pitch Perfect. That's the second time I've gotten you with that.
I use it as an expression, and I do not formally acknowledge the existence of that film. Um, yeah, I cannot wait to see more of just like I want to like I would love it if we get a scene coming up where it's Django and or not Django, it's Boba and Din Djarin, and Boba is just being like this crusty old guy who's just mad at the world about everything, and he's just like taking it out and telling and like just ripping Din up one side and back down the other about how inexperienced and unprepared he is for the task he's about to take on. I can just see him fulfilling that role, and I am just so excited to see it. Despite the fact that they're probably not that far off in age. Boba Fett is probably, maybe 50 in canon at this point, maybe a little less, as opposed to, Din, who is like, you know, early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, somewhere in there. I think also that this could be the start. I mean, actually, episode 3 would have been the start, but I think continued interaction with Boba Fett will be what kind of loosens the strings on his helmet and lets him take it off, which I know that the actor is very enthusiastic about. Um, Pedro Pascal is reportedly not particularly thrilled with having to cover his face all the time, but at the same time, like, dude, that's the whole point of being Mandalorian. Like, we didn't know until the Clone Wars. We didn't know that any Mandalorians ever took their heads off, took their helmet off. Um, you know,
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Dave Filoni foresaw all of this happening and set it up just for that reason.
well, I mean, yes and no. So back before the prequel trilogy, it was kind of generally talked about in fandom circles that Boba Fett Mandalorians, they never took their helmet off for any reason. And then Dave Filoni kind of flipped that all on its head, or actually, I mean, George Lucas flipped all that on its head in in Attack of the Clones when you have Jango Fett without his helmet on, and they're like, doesn't make any sense. He's Mandalorian. Why is his helmet off? And then because there was actually a lot of speculation back in the day that the person under the helmet wasn't actually a human in any regard. That they were there was some speculation that they were like some sort of insectoid species and all kinds of weirdness. And then there's clarification when Tamura Morrison shows up as being Jango Fett, and we're like, okay, that I have nothing to object to at this point. He's a great character and a great actor to play a great character. But it's just kind of weird. Sometimes you gotta find that balance, and I'm really happy to see that they have balanced the fan speculation. See, this is the thing. I know I talk a lot about narrative and
You talk a lot.
not doing the source material proper justice, and in some cases almost going out of your way to just mess with the fan base or make them angry. They are not doing that in this series. They are taking fan theories and they're explaining how they might work. They're not sitting down and working you through it and say, okay, well, here's why this happens, but they're presenting enough information on screen in a visual manner, which that is the first rule of film: show, don't tell. They're just showing it to you, and there's just enough information there that people who are in the know, as it were, are able to piece things together in a fairly quick, easy, and effective and coherent manner. I think it's coherent. Other people may have different
Yeah, when are you going
interpretations
to
on
learn
that.
that skill?
Huh?
When are you going to learn that skill?
I'm working on it. Baby steps. Um, but I'm just over the moon for this episode. It was absolutely pitch perfect. And there I said it again, and screw you. Just for good measure, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda. I'm not sorry. I should be. Now that I've geeked out for 45 minutes. Anything to add? Anything to add in here, Masters, on Mandalorian?
I debated on not returning.
But yeah, just it's so good. It made me happy. Clearly. Other things. No, we don't do that podcast anymore. Bad joke. Anyway, on to other things. Stuff happened this week.
Stuff happened this week.
Yes. Shall we discuss?
Sure, where do you want to start?
Well, as all things did and continue to, Friday.
What specifically about Friday?
Um, well, I know that. So for people who've been paying attention and tuning in every week, I'm so sorry for you. But that's broke butt friendly. Um, Friday there was the message that went out on the Mavericks. Two messages, in fact, that went out on the Mavericks uh chat, and not just that. There's a bunch of stuff that happened in the in-character discussion, which I guess doesn't really matter at this point, but
I still haven't read a word of it.
and I mean, at this point, you probably don't have to, but it was good stuff. It was really good stuff. Anyway, I was very enthusiastic with where things were headed. So, Friday, I'm at work, and my phone buzzes at me, and I look down, and it says, from Fang, farewell all. And that was the end of it. And then everyone's like, well, what's going on? And then, yeah, apparently he was done with the campaign. And we don't really know. From what he sent to you on Discord, I agree. I don't understand. Like.
So I think I may have pinpointed what he's referring to.
Okay.
Though it still doesn't make sense.
All right.
So Thursday nights is when we have his campaign. For which I play a character named Vinjo. Played a character named Vinjo. And we were setting up characters in Foundry this past Thursday. And after everybody got their characters set up, we did a little bit of maintenance RP to get us going towards the next part of the campaign.
Okay.
Then at the end of it, he says, "Okay, you guys are level 9." And I jokingly and very sarcastically in my voice said, "Well, why couldn't you just tell us that at the beginning? I've spent all this time making a level 8 character, and now I've got to make it level 9?" Which, in Foundry, takes all of 5 seconds.
Right.
So 100% sarcastic comment. That's the only thing I can think of that he was referring to. The only thing I can think of. Other than the few scenarios that I posted, which also don't explain it in full. And like I said, until he explains it to me in full, I have absolutely no idea what the heck he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. So, I did find it funny in the Mavericks chat that Silas and Mike were commenting back and forth that you and I argue.
Yeah.
And I think that this is kind of indicative of just like a clashing of personality rather than an inciting event, where you and I, when we actually get into a conversation, we just knit back and forth at each other, like when I said the thing that I'm not going to say again. I think that makes you mad just because it makes you mad. Because I think that's funny, and to a certain extent, you do too.
I think it's funny too. Yeah. Or I wouldn't have come back.
Right. Like as soon as you like that is like rule number 1 for friends of mine. Don't ever tell me something that annoys you or that I can pick on you about, because I absolutely will, and I will have the most amazing time doing so. Like, that's rule number 1. And that should just be the expectation. I don't get these people who are like super easily offended about stuff, because very, very, very little offends me. Like, and especially if I know that you're actually trying to offend me, because then I just discount you as a person entirely, which is probably not the greatest thing in the world to do. But I mean, if you're actually trying to offend me, I assume that you don't want to be any positive contributing part of my life. So I just discount you as a person entirely. Say anything you want about dehumanizing folks, but yeah. But as long as there's like, a lightheartedness to it, I don't really care what you say to me. So, I mean, being masters of sets are pretty
And
terrible
even
things to each other.
in most cases, if you're not being lighthearted, I still don't care what you have to say about me.
I mean, yes.
I
Basically,
I am comfortable. I am comfortable enough in my own skin that nobody's going to offend me.
there's a reason that I am like probably overly comfortable with just throwing around the phrase "screw you." Like, I don't care. You don't like that? Screw you. Okay. Um, now is that a very Christian thing to do? No, not at all. Particularly because it's basically just a replacement word for a really bad word that Christians aren't really supposed to say. But here we are.
Here we are.
Yes, here we are. But yeah, I mean, like I actually thought when it came in that it might have been my fault because before context was added, he and I kind of got into it a lot, and I thought like he was kind of upset that I had been
Like in character?
in character, yeah, like I
Oh.
was in character getting under his skin. Um, there's there's a reason I made the 2 parody songs this week. so so the first one was I took that scene from Spaceballs which you haven't seen, which you need to see, Masters, and Sasquatch
I
agrees with
did.
me.
Oh, I haven't seen the movie. I saw this clip.
Yeah, but you need to see the full movie. So I redid that because Rezo's, at least he's now in limbo. But I mean, in canon, in that scenario, Rezo is in prison because, um,
Well, he's in the brig.
I mean, close enough. Fang was trying to romance him, and
You kept saying he was in prison. I was like, how can you be in prison? We haven't had a session. And then I realized, oh, Fang put you in the brig
right.
because somebody said something about the ship.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, I was running interference for Silas and Scrap as they defaced his trophy from the Imavar.
Oh, okay. Maybe that had a little bit to do with because
No.
that probably IRL made him mad.
So those guys are doing that, and I'm running interference, and I'm like, okay, Rezo has full deniability. All he knows is that Scrap asked him to keep Fang busy for a little bit. So I go in there as Rezo, saying, okay, I'm going to do something legitimate with my time, and I'm going to advance my character a little bit and make it so that when we get to the next big city, whether that's Petra or wherever else, he's basically just going to go turn himself in because I want to get the next chapter going on Rezo, and just kind of hiding in the shadows isn't going to do it. So I was like, I'm going to set myself up to turn myself in as the fugitive that I am. And Fang, a Bramble, then knowing that this is all just a cover, decides to have fun back at me, and he starts having Fang try to seduce Rezo.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm clearly having no part of this, and neither is Rezo. And so
That's glorious.
And so as Rezo, I'm just like being totally straight laced. I'm not staying down. I'm not having fun. I'm like, hey, this was happening. Your conversation with me back in Cliff Shield is telling me that I need to just face my demons and just go right in and whatever happens kind of thing. And Fang's like, surrender yourself to me. Which point, yeah, Micro starts making jokes about bend over kind of thing. And I'm like, this is definitely not happening. And so I like created an in-character response to not do that and be like, no, that's improper. And you are already someone who has said that you don't view me as someone who's done anything wrong. You are not a proper authority at this point because you have already declared yourself to be a person with a partialized view. I need an impartial judge, and you are not that. Well, this goes on back and forth for several minutes, actually like 2 hours, and ultimately Rezo got clapped in irons and thrown in the brig. So, fun.
Yes, fun. But yeah, um, that little message that he sent me was all I needed to give myself the extra push to end Sunday's campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's another thing that happened, which led to my
Mm-hmm.
second song parody of the week. Yeah. Like as soon as I saw it come in, I'm like, oh, as soon as you announced that, I'm like, okay, I gotta respond to this somehow. I'm like, well, how am I going to respond to this? And I'm like, oh, the way I respond to everything in song, and then I responded in song, and it was horrific
Mm-hmm.
and wonderful.
Yes. Badly blended.
I don't even know what you mean by that. That's how
I
little I know about what you're
it's
trying to make me to make me understand. I hear music, I hear my voice, I hear my voice in time with the music. To me, that's good enough.
in time with and um on the same wavelength. Like you can tell that it's music and voice.
Masters, that's how every song ever is.
No, 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 no. If you listen to any music, they record the music and the voice separately, but it sounds like it's one piece of music. Yours obviously sounds like two pieces of music, a voice track and a music track.
Masters,
Yes.
but I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. Um, in the professional music industry, they spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to acquire and make that.
I don't want to hear it. If Monkey can do it, you can do it.
Monkey can do it.
Monkey has done it. Yes, I have listened to things that Monkey has mixed together from hundreds of different videos where he had to mix together all of the kids in the band playing their instruments for the Star Spangled Banner, along with people from the choir singing the song, all being recorded from different microphones in different places that he had to stitch together on top of the actual track from the the Boston Orchestra to make
So
it all blend together and sound coherent.
so here's what I'm hearing from that. I need to not try and blend things together. I need to get my tracks and send them to Monkey. That's what I'm
well,
hearing from that.
he's a freelancer now, so that might get expensive.
I don't know. We'll find out. We might find out. Depends on how much I care. Right now, not a lot. What
Yes, but you got to do the whole song.
do you mean do the whole song?
Um, Hello Hole.
Oh, I thought you were talking about whole. WHOLE.
Yes, I
And I'm
know.
like, I did do the whole song. What's your problem?
Well, that's part of my problem. But
Like, did the whole song. It was shorter than I thought it was, but I still did the whole song. I don't know what the problem. um, Not that anyone is going to hear it, but I redid like half, not all, but half of the last goodbye from Battle of the Five Armies. Um, and
but it turns out it's not the last goodbye because now Pixel is going to run a game for us.
well, I was referring. Well, I mean, it wasn't the last goodbye for Lord of the Rings either, because now they're going to do a prequel.
Are they?
They are. They're going. They're
I don't
gonna.
think. I don't think.
Peter Jackson,
No.
Tolkien.
No. Um, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be able to reprise his role. No, Orlando Bloom is
He
going to be able to reprise his role.
doesn't have to. He's not in that.
What?
Like Legolas wasn't even in the Hobbit. In the Hobbit, the studio wanted him in there. They shoehorned him in because they wanted people to have a familiar character from the first trilogy, from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's why he was in the Hobbit. Like he was in Lord of the Rings trilogy, but in the book The Hobbit, he's not there. And so they just like shoehorned him in.
And
And so if they're going to do other
if they're doing a
tales,
if
well,
they're doing a prequel Oh, it's an actual book?
There are two additional book, or not books, but works. I guess one of them is a book, that were done by Tolkien. There is the Silmarillion, and then there's the Other Tales. And I'm not really sure which of the two, or if they're basing it on any of his other works. I would assume they are. Um, but it's going to be in world as a prequel to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, probably by several hundred years. I also don't see Sir Ian McKellen donning the gray robes again because he's pushing 90.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably not going to see him back on screen again. Well, at least not in that. He might do something else, but um, I don't see him reprising his role as Gandalf. Um, but I mean, they are absolutely moving forward with a film project to make more Lord of the Rings content. I hope the studio stays out of it as much as possible because they made a lot of really stupid decisions on The Hobbit.
And you know good and well they're not going to.
Absolutely, but we can dream, can't we? Maybe they'll learn.
No,
There's
not about that. No, we can't get our hopes up on that. I won't let you.
there is actually a Lord of the Rings song called "And in Dreams." I'm just saying, you know. um, I don't really know how that applies, but it just seemed like it was gonna work for me. I was gonna shoehorn it in there. I've been doing a lot of that this week.
Yep.
uh,
Yep, you love your shoehorns.
I do. They keep my boots in good shape.
Precisely. My father used to have a shoehorn.
No. That's different. I no. I'm saying the wrong thing. I don't have shoehorns. I have boot trees.
Ah, I did not mean to do that.
Um. Yeah. So yeah, just like I feel like we got really off topic there. And I'm not sure how it happened. I was really looking forward though to, you know, continuing on with Rezo. Like I said, that was my whole point. I was trying to advance him to the next stage in his story, and I'm sad now that he's never going to get there. Um, yeah. Are you sad that? I mean, obviously you're happy that you're not going to be DMing, but are you at all broken up about the stories that people were telling that you're not going to be able to complete Masters?
Nope. I'm over it.
So apparently I wrote the right lyrics then.
I did spill the beans to Micro about a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Some
What?
of it he said he actually guessed.
In regards to what?
Um, Plot.
Okay. So since we're not going to do it, can you just run me down like where things were going, and that you as the DM were going to try and lead things?
For what specifically?
I mean, I'm interested in everybody's story. I'm curious as like what where you were trying to. I have a pretty good idea where you're trying to take Calliope because she had like the most apparent things out there, and she also told me herself.
Really? I had no idea where I was taking Calliope.
Really?
That's true. I mean, he gave me a lot of stuff a few weeks ago that I had some ideas about, but I hadn't fully fleshed it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had no I'm originally I had some idea, but when we first got into it, I was still a fairly new DM.
Yeah.
And based off of his reaction to what I was saying, I decided to on the fly change where I was going with it because I felt like the way he was reacting, um, he didn't like what I was doing. In hindsight, I fully understand he was doing it in character, and him as a person would have been perfectly fine with me doing what I was doing. But at that point, it was too late. Um, and so from then on, I had no idea what I was going to do with him. At one point, I was going to have her kidnapped and
Okay.
her blood drained by one of the churches.
That sounds like
Um,
fun.
yeah. Um, but then he gave me his the extra stuff. Like he messaged me one day, was like, "Hey, have I ever told you about Calliope's um what Calliope for Calliope was like when she was in Angel Cliff?" And I said, "Nope. You told me it didn't matter." And he was like, "Oh, well, it definitely matters. I should get you some of that stuff." And then he sent me like a whole blog
Right.
of stuff, and I took that and I was going to run with it, but then this happened.
Yeah, like the more we learned about Angel Cliff, I assumed at some point we'd be going back there and basically just wiping everything out. Like full on murder hobo the whole the whole city. Um,
Um, but so the staff that you guys were going to go get, the staff of the Magi,
mhm.
that they were out of character trying to avoid because it's apparently like this super OP magical item.
Okay.
Um, it actually wasn't a staff of the Magi.
Okay.
Um, it was actually going to be a homebrew magical item called the staff of the wild magic.
Okay.
And the whole so you gave me the idea of having the Elven City be magicless.
Right.
Well, the reason it was magicless is because this staff was near the city and was draining all the magic from the area.
Ooh.
Um, and once you guys got a hold of the staff and he attuned to or she attuned to it, um, all of that magic that would normally be in the world returns, and you guys would have gone back to the Elven City, and there would have just been mass chaos with people discovering they have magical powers for the first time.
Hmm.
Um, and also, the Staff of Wild Magic, he was going to be able to redirect anytime he had to roll on the Wild Magic table. He was going to be able to use charges from the staff to redirect it to a friendly character. So he would have definitely turned Silas into a sheep at one point. Um, and also would have been able to regain sorcery points. Um,
Mhm.
um, and let's see, scrap.
Yes.
Um, I have. You guys know all of the material I have prepared for scrap. I had prepared that material from the moment that Poppy sent me Scrap's backstory, or lack thereof, I should say.
Right.
Um, but I hadn't really thought through anything further than that. I was really flying by the seat of my pants for several sessions.
Uh-huh.
There at the end, uh, the let's see, Silas. I had no idea what to do with him after he got his family back, but I'm pretty sure that was the end of his story, anyways, because he really didn't give me much more. Other than the fact that the Rakshasa was going to continuously try and kill him.
Mhm.
I could have sworn that Silas got the final blow on the Rakshasa the first time, which is why the Rakshasa has been coming after Silas the entire time.
Right.
But Fang swears up and down it was him. So I have no idea who to believe, but I had already made the judgment that it was Silas, so that's what I was kept on going with.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the Rakshasa would have at some point come and tried to. Actually, no, my original plan was to have the Rakshasa be the source of information to get Calliope kidnapped. Because what Rakshasas do is uh, when they're first killed, they hold a grudge against the person that's killed them, because they spend weeks in hell um, reforming,
Mhm.
and it's an excruciating process.
Right.
So the entire time they're reforming, they're thinking about the person that killed them and how to get revenge on them. And so they keep coming back in stronger and stronger with stronger and stronger numbers to take revenge out.
Right.
And one of the things they do is get revenge through other means. If they figure out that, hey, I can't kill this guy, well, then they start looking for other ways to torture that person. And Calliope would have been the next obvious choice, which the Rakshasa would have learned was a very bad idea. But that's what his thought process was. Fang, I pretty much gave up on his story after he rejected what I had um, put before him with his father, um, accepting him for who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had no interest in trying to uh, force Fang to do what Fang didn't want to do. So I
So,
completely
so I
abandoned that.
I missed the entire exchange. What happened with Zai?
Um,
I that was the week I wasn't there, or it was late,
yeah.
something like that.
So Zai and Langley were captured by, or well, you are all captured
Right.
by the gnome. But Zai in particular was sent to Eli because of their past relations. Eli had requested him once he found out that the gnome had him.
Okay.
Um, and Langley was sent because Tony uh, had IRL things.
Right.
Um, and then uh, they were both given these bracelets that they had on their arms that made them do whatever um, Eli told them to do. Um, so Eli told Langley, "Stay with me, help me, guard me," and so that's what Langley was doing. Um, he told Zai, "Go home and pretend everything is normal until I call you."
Mm-hmm.
And so Zai went home and pretended like everything was normal, and in his mind, everything was normal until he got a message from Eli saying, "Hey, come do this," and then he would go and do that and then return home like nothing had happened.
Okay.
So as far as Zai knew, everything was normal. He was doing exactly what he would be doing if he didn't have the bracelet. And so he had told his grandfather, "Hey, everything's fine. This is why I left." Um, um, and so that's what Zai's grandfather believed was everything was fine. This is why he left.
Right.
And then the headmistress was also captured by the gnome. She was caught off guard as well and sent to Eli because of her power. And he had also put the gauntlets on her. And had you guys had perception,
Mm-hmm.
passive perception, or if you had actually rolled perception, you guys would have noticed the bracelets that she was wearing
Right.
when you guys took her down to see
The sword.
the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she fully believed that the sword was still there and all this stuff because he told her to go back and act as normal until otherwise told. And so she had no memory of the encounter with the gnome or with Eli and was just going on with her duties
Hmm.
um, until such time as he called her. Um, it's funny. And then let's see. You know what your story was going to be. We hadn't,
I was actually
we
kind of
hadn't,
working on figuring out if I was going to go with that or do something else. But
yeah, we hadn't decided on which direction you were going to go. But I was kind of trying to lead you in the way of following Bashaba,
I was heading that
uh,
way kind of on my own. Um,
especially since you got the Mace of Terror.
oh
I
yeah,
was trying to drop those hints to you
yeah.
in
You were
whispers.
like as soon as you started doing this, like man, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. I could just totally flip him into an evil character, and
Absolutely.
and,
Um,
and like as when he got the strength potion and just I was just like he's gonna do it because he's kind of a weak person anyway, and now that he has the strength, he is just going to lean full on into this. And he started literally bashing in faces. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it so much. Um,
Um, but yeah, so I've actually told you this before you actually joined the campaign. I don't know if you remember this. Um, but Moloch was never after you guys. It
right.
was always Asmodeus trying to get you guys to kill Moloch. And he kept Asmodeus was sending people after you, trying to ag you on to go and fight Moloch.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which we were just doing
which
anyway.
yeah.
We were like, just kill
Um,
everything.
well, he didn't know that.
I know.
So you guys kept bringing up the fact that Moloch has a way to spy on you guys. And he did. Moloch absolutely had a way to spy on you guys, and he was doing that. However, Asmodeus did not. And so Asmodeus was thinking, well, why aren't these guys going after this guy? He keeps attacking them, or they think he keeps attacking them. Obviously, they don't care. So he kept trying to send more and more things after you well, not to kill you because he wanted to use you, but
Right. This thing.
yeah, I figured you had.
Like that
Um,
was a while ago.
yeah, that was a long while ago. Um, And then Brachion, the whole Moloch thing was Brachion's backstory.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and like the more we kept going, just a lot of things that we could have done that we just it was just taking a long time to get to some of them. Um,
absolutely,
Although I mean, I was thoroughly enjoying playing Rezo. I was probably too much actually, but you know, it is what it is. Um, it was just fun. Like, I like the idea of having a defined character arc, and that I think may have been why you were having difficulty with getting Calliope worked out, because Micro was kind of playing her as a static character who didn't change, and
yeah,
everybody in the party was trying to get her to change. Like everybody in the party is like, "Hey, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You can change. Like if I can change, you can change. Everybody can change." Like we were having a great Rocky Four moment there, and she's like, "No."
yeah,
um, but yeah, it's just there was so much potential there, and just missed it. Um,
yeah.
but like I said in my song,
Oh,
new
and then
stories are calling. Sorry, not really.
the big bad evil guy that you guys were on the tails of learning about,
Uh huh.
but then you guys decided to abandon the desert where all of the information was.
I decided nothing.
Um, but Eli is or was trying to free Talos.
Uh huh.
Eli had the sword, and he had already completed one ritual of freeing Talos, which you guys were actually right beside when it happened. That's when you guys were attacked by the flying elemental thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Eli was right nearby. Had just completed the first ritual to release Talos from the sword. Um, and he was in the desert trying to find the second orb of Talos to complete the ritual again. However, that particular um, orb was actually already discovered by someone um, and given to um, an archmage that lives up in the Dragon Wasteland. I forget what it's called on the map. Um, where he actually was planning on, or he is holding on to it,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for somebody to come um, that knows how to destroy it.
Okay.
And he was going to test you guys to make sure you guys were actually going to try and destroy it before he just gave it to you.
Right.
Um, and yeah, that was going to be a fun little adventure. You guys were going to go into his magnificent mansion and fight all kinds of fun things. Um, he was actually a dragon. Um, and his son actually lives in the desert, also a dragon
Follows.
that you guys didn't get to interact with. And then I put the Tarrasque in there because that's how you destroy the orbs, is you feed it to the Tarrasque.
Ooh. And we didn't get to do that.
Yeah. Well, Fang was having none of it. As soon as I mentioned Tarrasques in the Discord, Bramble was pitching a fit.
What I'm it may just be my lack of understanding of D&D things because I'm still fairly new to all this stuff. What is the big deal about Tarask?
It's the most powerful monster in the game.
But it's not. So I know a little bit about things. Oh yes, it may be the most powerful monster. Um isn't Tiamat the strongest overall?
I don't know Tiamat's stat block, so I couldn't tell you.
I remember talking with Friendly and Friendly's like, yeah, Tiamat is like way stronger. Like, okay. I know.
I mean, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
But,
Which is what Horde of the Dragon Queen leads up to eventually.
Yes. Rise of Tiamat.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
But yeah, it was just like I was totally on board to face a Tarask. Probably going to die.
So Tarrasque and Tiamat are the highest CR creatures in the game, both at 30 CR.
Gotcha. With our party, I don't think that would have been an issue at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like,
let's see here.
we were a game breaking party. Let's just be honest about this.
The Tarrasque has more HP, but the Tarrasque can't fly.
Yes.
Let's see. Ooh, Tiamat has immunity to acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. Well, the acid, cold, fire, lightning, and poison straight up, and then bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing attacks from non-magical attacks are immune. They are immune to being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, poisoned, and stunned.
Mm-hmm.
The Tarrasque is immune to fire and poison, and then non-magical attacks,
Right.
and then can't be charmed, frightened, paralyzed. So yeah, Tiamat is definitely the harder to defeat.
Right. But yeah, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, it's a Tarask. You just kill it. It's fine.
Oh yeah, me and Micro were talking about that in the Discord, or was it in the Discord or was it in DMs?
There was a little bit of discussion of that, but not too. Like he said, we could have probably done it with like a level 14 to 16 party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think you guys could have done it earlier with your magical items. But you guys weren't going to fight it for a long time because you would have had to figure it out where the mage lives. You would have had to go to the mage. You would have had to convince him to give you the orb, and then you would have had to figure out that the Tarrasque is the way to destroy it.
Right.
So there was going to be a long journey just to get you guys to that point. But out of character, they were avoiding the desert because they thought that if they went in there, they would be running into Langley, and they knew that they couldn't free Langley because Tony's not back.
Right.
But Langley would not have been there. You guys would have not have encountered him.
Right.
So
So much
yeah.
potential.
I had some ideas. A lot of it came because when Mumbles first started getting into D&D, I messaged him and I said, "Hey, Gavi used to be my springboard. Do you mind being my springboard now that you're into this?" And he was like, "Sure." And so he was like, "Okay, what do we got? What do we got to going on?" And so I would give him the what was coming up and what I needed to figure out, and he'd be like, "Okay, what if we did this?" And then my brain would go, "No, that really doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. What if we did this instead?" And so it completely launched my springboard like it was supposed to.
Hmm.
and I came up with a lot of it. The 4 chambers that you guys went into, that was almost entirely him. I
Right.
helped him with the details, but he basically came up with the story elements. Um, yeah.
I almost feel bad a little bit that I kind like. I mean, I don't really feel bad. Like, I'm actually, I don't. I don't. I feel bad if it was contributing to the to like this all falling apart, but um, I don't feel bad at all about actually doing it, as it were. Because you did give me the thing, um, the mace of terror that I used to break your encounter.
Oh, yeah.
Was that one of those things like as a DM that you gave it to me and then kind of forgot about it because I didn't use it for like 6 weeks and then and then like
Well,
it came in at a very opportune moment?
so, me giving it to you was entirely impromptu accident,
Okay.
um, that I just had to learn to live with.
I don't even
Um,
think I was supposed to get it. It was just like it was there and then everyone decided that it was coming to me.
yeah. So, when you guys went to, the thing, and I was describing to them the fighting pit,
Mm-hmm.
I had in my mind that this place was going to have a fighting pit that was going to be the main stake of this little city, this little
Okay.
town in the desert. So when you guys got there, I was like, "Oh, there's a fighting pit." And then I described that guy that was in there, and Silas goes, "Okay, what are the rules to this fighting pit?" And I went, "That's something I probably should have thought of before all of this started."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I made up the rules on the spot. And then after that first guy, I was like, "Oh crap! The rules I made up say that he has to fight 3 things. I don't have 3 things for him to fight." So I literally went into my character vault
Uh-huh.
and picked up 2 more characters for him to fight. And, instead of altering them to not have, the magical items that they had gotten from the various campaigns that they had been in, I just left them in there,
Oh.
not thinking at all that you guys would go and loot their bodies. I don't know why I let you loot their bodies, but I did. And so, yeah, that's how that happened.
And then
Because
six
one of
weeks
them had
later
the Mace of Terror on them.
and then 6 weeks later one of them just breaks your entire encounter.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was like one of the best moments as a player I've ever had because like you had audible glee in your voice as you were setting up the encounter, and then it
Yes.
pops up and I'm like, wait a second, I have this thing.
There
Okay.
was a less than 3% chance that you guys were going to encounter that specific encounter, and it happened.
Uh huh.
And I was excited to see how it went down because it was going to take it was just gonna be fun for me.
Uh huh.
And then you went and ruined it.
And you're like, are you sure you want to take the hit of opportunity? 100%. Oh, it was so good. Um, yeah. As a, I
Well,
can
the thing is, he missed. Had he hit you, you wouldn't have been able to move because he would have grappled you.
okay. Um, Still.
But still, he missed. And then, like, I had no idea what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, what are you? I don't understand what you're doing here. Um, and then you said that, and I was like, oh, okay. Now they're all afraid. And then I continued on. Then you were like, no, no, they have to run away from me now. And I was like, they have to what?
Yep.
Crap! I had completely forgotten about that part of the weapon. And I was like, "Ah, okay, encounter over."
Pretty much. Ah, one of those just great moments. I like that's what D&D is about. It's not about, playing the
Yeah.
game. It's about breaking
Now
it.
I live for those moments with Mumbles. Did
Hmm.
you hear that I broke 2 of his games
I have not
last
yet
night?
I've not yet seen the VOD. I
Okay,
It's on my list of
you should
things
go
to do.
watch the VOD.
I
It was fun.
Roguefoot was complaining that she was not able to like do the right things or something, which I don't understand, but I'm sure I will in time.
She was speaking gibberish the entire time. That's like I think she might have been high before she started playing with us.
She says she was doing things that were out of context, and I don't think context is the correct word.
No,
It is not the correct
no.
word.
She kept trying to like at one point she said, "I want to feed it peanut butter," and Mumbles was like, "Where did you get peanut butter from?" And she was like, "I don't know."
Oh, okay. Um, I do understand that at one point she, you know, um, like
No, I
supposedly
don't
like,
know because you're not talking.
oh no, so she like dumped alcohol down one of their throats or something.
That's what she said she wanted to do, but there was really no way for her to do that. So Mumbles said that he would agree that she put alcohol on the lettuce that they were going after.
Okay.
But the session ended, so we don't know what happened with that yet.
I don't know.
But like I don't know, like she's trying to do things without really understanding that like just because she says she wants to do it doesn't mean that it's possible.
Okay. She's not like
Like
she
she
is.
went into the leather shop wanting to get leather to make her own armor,
Right.
and she asked for scraps. And
Yeah.
Mumble was like, "Okay, well, you can get scraps from this guy, but you're not going to be able to make armor out of it." Who's like, "But he has this other uh, piece of leather that you could make armor out of. It would just take you some time." And she ended up getting that, but I don't know why she was thinking that she could make a suit of armor out of scraps. I don't.
Man, like you could, in reality, you could probably make that work, but it would be a lot more work than it would be worth.
Yeah,
Um, like, so how? I mean, here's one of those rabbit hole questions. How much do you know about bullwhips?
I know a lot about whips actually.
Fantastic. So you know, like that braiding technique.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's a way to do a similar braiding technique with just long, thin strips of leather, where it will go across. Well, like it'll spread out flat rather than being in that bullwhip taper.
hmm.
And that is something that you could use to make armor. I mean, it wouldn't be the
Yeah,
most effective
absolutely.
armor, but it'd be armor. And so, like, yeah, okay, you could make it from scraps. It'd be as effective as like using other things. I mean, it's debatable. Because if you actually have that like that cross weave thing going on, you that might actually be more cut resistant than
Wouldn't
this.
stop a baseball, but
Actually, probably would. It probably would actually stop.
it would not. Smarter every day. Well, okay. Let me say this: a baseball thrown by a normal person, it would well almost definitely stop. Coming out of a supersonic cannon, it would not stop it.
No, like
That was a reference to the Smarter Everyday video
that's a different thing.
where he shot a baseball out of a cannon at some gloves and destroyed the gloves.
Yeah, there's if it's going faster than the speed of sound, it takes a lot to slow it down. I was watching some gunfill videos earlier this week.
Imagine that.
I know it's something that's just weird. Just happens to me somehow. Anyway, there's a guy who's shooting 50 BMG at 100 yards at steel. Okay, no problem. In theory, but he had his steel directly perpendicular to his line of fire. Ordinarily, at 100 yards, that's not going to be an issue. 50 BMG, even after it's maxed to steel, it's still got a whole lot of energy. And so it bounces off the steel, and you kind of hear that kind of like reverse whistle through the air as this now malformed piece of lead comes, 550 grain piece of lead comes bouncing back at him, bounces off of the ground like 15 yards in front of him, and takes off his hearing protection, almost removing his head. Um, yeah, it's like he did pretty much everything right there, but it's just one of those things. Like it's got a lot of energy, and it's going like
Almost,
out of a
like
month. Hmm?
almost like the kids here in Alabama several years ago that thought that a dictionary would stop a Glock, and so one kid held the dictionary in front of his chest, and the other friend shot him.
Was that the YouTube couple?
Yeah,
Okay, so that was not. I know more details about this. It was not a Glock. It was a Desert Eagle, a Magnum
Desert
Research
Eagle,
Desert Eagle chambered in 50 AE.
even better.
Yeah, and they just hold up like a regular phone book. A regular phone book has a chance of stopping a 9mm. Not a great one, but it has a chance to. I've seen it done. A 50 AE is moving a whole lot faster, and it has a whole lot more lead going down range. It's going to punch right through that phone book like it's not there.
Yeah,
And it did.
and it did, and it did.
Surprise! Welcome to Physics 101.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The failure rate in this class is deadly. Like literally, it's deadly. Some people are idiots. Like that, there's just no way around that. Some people are just absolute idiots.
Yep, and for some reason we keep electing them.
Okay,
moving on.
Oh.
Moving on.
Moving right along. It got
Moving right along.
moving right
We've
along.
got some good time to spare.
I don't know that song well enough.
I think I've sung all of it that I know.
Yeah. I know one other part. Doom dooka doom dooka doom. That's what I know.
But Kermit, how are we gonna get there?
I'll take our left at the fork in the road.
Well, we'll get there by map. I think that's actually Fozzie's joke or Fozzie's line.
That's
Not
that's from a totally different movie.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Well, that was the movie I was going from. You were the one that take a left at the fork.
mm-hmm.
Oh, there's actually a fork there. Hey, we got the Muppets in there.
We got the Muppets in there! Yay!
So we've already talked about Star Wars, the Muppets, and D&D. We're
Mhm.
doing good tonight.
We have more D&D to talk about.
We do?
Do.
I mean, we do, but where do you want to? What?
What? We got a new campaign start. Well, we have 2 campaigns starting now. We don't like.
We know more about one than we do the other.
As of an hour and a half ago, we have 2 campaigns starting now. For those who can do math, and have watched to this point in the podcast, Sass, that means that when this podcast started, we only had 1, but 7 or so minutes into it, we now have 2. Moving right along.
New ones.
Yeah, new ones. Yes. So let's talk about Tuesday because we don't really know a lot about the new one for Sunday.
So, do you know what character you're making?
Yeah. Yes.
That didn't sound very definite.
I mean, so I had a character that I had built for specifically after we did the Battle Royale one shot. I felt like I learned a lot from there, and I made a character specifically to do another Battle Royale one shot, and pretty beastly character. And I thought, okay, well, we're gonna go in here. I'll consider using him. And then I got talking to Mumbles, and Mumbles seemed to be like way more open to homebrew things. I'm like, oh, here's my chance. And so I threw the Fenris bow at him, and he's like, yeah, sure, that you can do that. And then we worked out some stuff, and he's actually continued to work out a couple things with me in terms of like ways that it's going to improve as the story progresses, which I'm very enthusiastic about.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't he probably realizes to some extent, but I don't think he realizes to the full extent just how broken it is already.
Well, he was smart and made a D6 instead of a D8.
Yeah, it's still
And
broken.
and and you can only use it every other turn.
No, I can use it every turn.
No, you have to reload every other turn.
No, he set it up so that I can do a volley shot of 3,
Okay,
and then
okay,
I have
volley
to
shot of 3
reload.
and then do
Yeah,
one shot at a time.
yeah. But to
Yeah.
open up a fight with a 3-shot volley, that can
Uh,
very quickly turn.
yeah, that's
The,
pretty broken.
yeah. Now he did put the restriction on it that I can currently only target one creature at a time. But he's also sent me a list of things that he has in mind for advancements that can be made to it, so that eventually it will be able to target multiple enemies. Get extra shots. It'll get a melee option with like a bayonet on it. Yeah, he's gonna put like a shield and a bayonet on it. I'm like, I'm going to be like I'm just listening to this. I'm like, I was just gonna run with it and let this be my weapon and try and get like a +1 or +2 on it at some point by replacing the longbow. But if you're gonna do all this crazy stuff, okay, I'm not gonna turn you down. Like, at what point would you like to give me a 5th shot, Mr. Mumbles? Because that sounds like, or just the ability to target multiple people. I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. um,
Um, oh my goodness. Um, what class are you doing?
so this is the part that's really broken for me because
Fighter?
no, well, right now I'm set up as a rogue,
A rogue
a rogue
with a longbow?
with a longbow.
That's gonna be stupid broken.
I know. Oh,
Rogues don't even have proficiency with longbows.
apparently they do now. Well, actually, yeah, mine does. Like, and I didn't change anything. It
You
does.
have proficiency with martial weapons?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel right.
Let me pull it up here.
That doesn't pass my field test.
I'm bringing it up so I can confirm.
I'm looking at it right now. Proficiencies. You have proficiency with simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. You do not have proficiency with a longbow.
Hmm. Interesting. I also have to change his name because I really don't like it anymore. I did it as a joke, but I really don't like it. It's awful. So
I think we might have come up. I don't know if Mumbles or
no.
not Mumbles.
So my character, uh, Wood Elf Rogue, has weapon proficiencies: crossbow, hand crossbow, longbow, longsword, rapier, short sword, simple weapons. Longbow is specifically in there.
Did you add the longbow?
No.
What is your sub? Or well, you're only level 1, so you won't have that yet.
Nope. It
Um,
could be my race. I'm a wood elf.
find out, shall we?
Yes, it's a elf weapon training. You have proficiency with a longsword, short sword, short bow, and longbow. It's a racial trait. Ta-da! Masters,
Yeah.
are you still there?
Uh huh.
Got
I'm
very quiet.
well. I'm trying to read. I don't. Oh, you must be a Valinar elf then. Wood Valinar elf, or are you just straight up a wood elf?
Just a straight up wood elf.
Oh yeah, elf weapon training. You are proficient with long sword, short bow, and longbow.
Hmm?
Okay, wow,
Yep.
that's stupid broken.
You betcha. um, so right off the bat, because of my rolls, I have a +6 to hit. That's gonna be fun. Um,
Um, right off the bat, because of my rolls,
mm-hmm.
I have a 14 spell save DC and a +6 spell attack.
Nice. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be one of those things where it's like as soon as I get,
And you start out with sneak attack,
yep,
you're gonna be so broke.
I know. Plus, so like I said, I was basing this off of one
We're
of
not
my
gonna even need a healer because they're not gonna live long enough to hit us.
like, I know, like there's gonna be like 4 people go down in the first round and just gonna be like, really, guys? Really? They're
Like,
dead.
well, you're the one that gave the elf a longbow that can shoot 3 volleys or 3 shots at once
And can
in the
sneak.
opening round
And can sneak.
and has sneak attack.
Oh, I don't think that was very well thought through.
It wasn't at all.
Just like pop up, boom. Okay, let's see. I did 3d6 plus 4.
I did 46 damage on shot 1.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be stupid broken, but I love it.
Let's see here. So that's so that's at level 1. If you hit max on 1 shot
Mm-hmm.
with sneak attack, that's 36 points of damage,
Yes.
not including your dexterity,
Yep.
which I don't think you include your dexterity
You do. I double checked it.
for damage.
Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, somehow or another it gets in there. I put a regular longbow on to make sure I was setting it up correctly, so I could compare it one against the other. So I just basically imported all the longbow stats in, and then I changed the D8 to a D6. And somehow or another, there's a +4 on there. I don't know how that works, but somehow it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dex modifier is on the longbow, and yeah, extra broken. So 1d6 plus 4 times 3 plus sneak attack plus 1d6 extra yeah.
So you're gonna have, and sneak attack is a D6, right? Or is it
Yes.
a D8?
It's a D6.
Yeah. So that's 6d6. No,
Plus,
sneak attack is only 1d6. So 4d6.
well, no, would that be
46.
would that apply to every shot? Because I can
No,
fire
just
3
once.
shots.
You only get it once.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's 4d6 plus 4. So 28 damage, which is still good for level 1. Let's see. In comparison, see, what is my highest attacking with a quarterstaff? See, that spell does a d8. Just one d8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can do 2d8, so a max of 16 damage. But it's to multiple people. So let's see, it's a 15-foot cube, so that's 9. So 9 times 16. Okay, so I can do 144 damage in this right circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
16 to 9 different people.
Wow. Also fun. Like I said, this is just going to be one of the most broken parties ever.
Of course, that also, I think, alerts a lot of people in our area. Yep, it sure does. 300-foot range.
Like, who cares? Like, we're gonna need more enemies just so like the people farther down the turn order can get a shot.
Oh.
So, like I said, this character is based off of the one that I built to do another one shot. So a level 20 character, and that one is it's a wood elf, 4 levels in rogue, 4 levels in ranger, 12 levels in fighter, and he can do. I think with all the stuff that happens, he has like 2 rounds. That he can do back to back where he gets 8 attacks with his longbow, which is not insubstantial. Um, so that's kind of. But the problem is that the fighter aspect, while it's really good, it doesn't really benefit the Fenris bow at all because you're making as you go farther up, you get to have more attacks as a fighter, and so by the time you get to 3 attacks normally for every round, um,
Getting 6 attacks instead of 3.
not really.
Yeah, you do, because you get 3 shots and you can reload in between. You can use attack action to shoot, attack action to reload, and then attack action to shoot again.
I would have to talk to Mumbles about that because I think that is too broken.
Well, that's how that would work. That's how guns work.
That's how
You
guns.
use your that's you as a fighter, because gunslinger is a fighter subclass,
Okay.
and you use action to shoot, action to reload, action to shoot. That's what Monkey was doing.
So what you're saying is that this ridiculous character, if I do everything like I want, like I already have it set up with this one, I could have 2 rounds where I could have 9+ attacks or more.
So
I forget exactly
you
how I
would
have them.
shoot, reload, shoot, action surge to
Reload,
reload,
shoot,
shoot,
reload,
reload.
and then there's something else in here where I can do that again somehow. I think it's in one of my feats or something that I picked up.
So that's 9 shots right there,
Yeah,
and you have a reloaded weapon.
yeah. And then I can just pop up in the next round and do it all over again.
Well, you can't do it all over again because you won't have action again.
You can give multiple action surges as a fighter.
Well, at higher levels, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess by the
yeah,
time you have 3 actions
yeah,
or 3 attack actions, then yes, you'll have.
yeah. I said because he was done for that. He was put together for that. Battle royale, one shot kind of thing. He's level 20. The one
Yeah.
I'm basing this current character off. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what it is that allows him to do the 2 extra attacks. Action, second wind. No. What is it? Also has parry, action. Oh. Apparently, no. I guess you do only get 1 action surge. At least with this setup. You really not ever get a second one?
Fighter, if you're straight fighters, they do.
Okay. I guess because you only pick up fighter partway through down the line for this one because it does really require a rogue basis. Plus, the rogue archetype is assassin, which if you target, you know how assassin works.
Auto crits.
Auto crits on stuff that
Yeah, that hasn't attacked yet.
Yep. Which is not broken at all.
So are you going to pick up the alert feat so that you have even more initiative?
I forget.
Alert gives you +5 to initiative. So you would have +9, so that you would almost guarantee that you go first every time.
Okay. Here are my.
Because the lowest you would be able to roll would be a 10.
The feats that are on it are alert, lucky, sharpshooter, and elven accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like it's cheating or anything. Not at all. Yeah. Not cheating in the slightest. Can't imagine why anyone would think differently. Yeah.
I'm only level 3, and sometimes I think I'm cheating with lay work.
Well, if you are you, I haven't seen the latest episode. Are you still hacking people in half on every turn?
Um, no, we had no combat this,
Okay.
but I did do some other fun stuff that I won't spoil for, unless you want me.
No, I'll watch it. Oh, wow. So, being a fighter does some really broken stuff, like particularly with. So you have lucky, right? 3 luck points per long rest. Whenever you make an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw, you can spend one to roll an additional d20, and you choose which die to use. If neither of those do, you can throw on Indomitable, and you can re-roll it again.
Yes.
Like, I refuse to fail this roll. I'm sorry, I still refuse to fail this roll.
There's a subclass of um, paladin
Yeah.
at level 20. If you miss an attack, you can choose to make it instead.
Why
So
would
you
you
just
ever
straight
not?
up don't miss.
Would you ever not hit that? Um.
Uh,
So I'm. With that being the case, yeah, I am very much looking forward to everything very quickly. um, and like I said, and actually, so that 3 shots, that 9 shots that I'll eventually be able to do is not going to be 9 shots. It'll be more.
oh yeah, because if he opens it,
Keeps giving me. So what you do is you take 4 levels in Rogue, and you take
okay.
4.
So yeah, you can only do it once per long rest,
Yeah, but so you take 4 levels in Rogue, and you take four
unless
levels. Yes.
unless you expend a 5th level spell slot, which at level 20, um, you would have 2. No, I'm talking about the
Oh, the paladin.
paladin. Yeah. So 3 times per day, you could choose not to miss on a build that you've probably already got maxed out on hitting.
Right.
It's like I rolled a natural 20 with a +7, and I still missed. Nah, I hit him.
Mm-hmm. Screw you. Haha. Um, but yeah, so I'm looking at this and follow my logic here.
No.
So 4 levels go into Rogue, 4 levels go into Ranger. So by that time, I'm assuming I'll have been able to get some level of upgrade done to my bow. As soon as I start taking, by level 12, that's when for my progression, that'll be level 4 into fighter, because fighter's the last thing you do on this build. By doing that, I'll have already gotten a couple extra shots into my bow, I'm pretty sure. So I won't be doing 9 shots. I'll be doing 12 shots or 15 shots once I get up
Yeah.
to the top.
That's not broken at all.
So right now we have a rogue fighter, we have a wizard, we have a warlock, we have a barbarian, and we have a um, artificer.
Yes.
I don't think we need a healer.
Foxy's going to be a healer in full quotation marks.
Oh, he always is.
He's probably just going to import Rorikos.
Probably. Because that's the kind of imagination he has.
He and I have had some actually pretty extensive conversations over the last couple of weeks. I have determined that he in fact has no imagination.
That was my point.
I don't mean that in like the colloquial sense. I mean in the very literal sense. He has zero imagination,
I know.
which he will admit to, and does.
I know.
And I'm like,
I've talked to him as well.
it hurts my brain.
It really does.
I'm also really just a big fan of the idea that I have -3. That's all the story.
I have a -2 to strength.
I have a -1. It's just like I rolled really well.
I can barely carry my own equipment.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I have to limit how many bolts I carry. I think I have actually because they're. That's another thing he gave me a bonus on that he doesn't realize he gave me a bonus on because he says it fires bolts instead of arrows, and I gave him the option. Which one do you want me to fire, bolts or arrows? And he says bolts. You can carry a lot more bolts than you can carry arrows. Smaller, lighter. So, and he hasn't given me any real restrictions on like what I have for starting equipment. So I have 100 bolts. It's less than 10 pounds.
You're limited by your starting equipment by what you start with. Your character class starts with. We've been over this, guy. You stop adding random crap to your.
You're
your
the
character.
DM.
I'm not the DM.
No, exactly. You're not the DM. So I'm starting with whatever he tells me I'm starting with. If he tells me I'm starting with the Fenris bow and I can throw in a bunch of bolts, he says put a bunch of bolts in there. I'm gonna put a bunch of bolts in there. Particularly because I'm gonna be going through them like very quickly. I might someday have to up my strength just so I can carry enough bolts to get through around.
Get this. My carrying capacity
Mm-hmm.
is 90 pounds.
Yeah.
I am currently carrying, with just my starting equipment, 89 pounds worth of stuff.
Wow. Well, someone can't get any money.
And I'm not even wearing armor. I have a backpack, a bedroll, calligrapher's supplies, common clothes, a mess kit, an iron pot. I should probably get rid of that because it's weighing me down. It's 10 pounds.
How are you getting like? I mean, so I have armor. It's leather armor, but I have armor, and I'm carrying like 11 pounds less than you are. Did I not? Wait a second. I may not have put any weight on my Fenris bow. I might have to change that.
I've got 20 days worth of rations. I've got my quarterstaff. I've got a rope, a shovel, my spell book, a tinderbox, a torch, and water skin. That is all I have.
Hmm.
But yeah, I have an iron pot.
I mean, why not?
Why? It's in the adventurer's kit. Apparently, I can cook thing.
Right.
It's like I was trying to leave the house and Mom kept adding things to my backpack.
That happened when I went overseas the first couple of times. She sent me.
So you got to the airport and had to open up your bag for TSA, and your Spider-Man costume was laying on top.
Did you know I had a Spider-Man costume?
I've seen the movie.
Not with me in it. I don't think I have weight. I'll wait for my Fenris bow here. Talk with. It should be like pounds.
I have a +6 to Arcana and History.
I
read a lot.
See, what do I have for Arcana? +2. Okay, that's not bad. My charisma is just awful. Like in general, people do not like me.
My charisma is a 13.
Yeah, I will never get there ever. Intentionally, and so in fact, because I'm really quite kind of fond of this idea, and it works kind of with my character, despite the fact that when I went to look up what I'm basing him off of, everyone's like, "Oh no, this character is like super high charisma," and I'm like, I don't think so. And I understand why people would say he does, because from the source material, he's very well liked by the audience, but everybody in the source material pretty much hates his guts. Unilaterally. Like, it's a joke when someone says they're happy to see him. It's like, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Uh,
But yeah, just so
Oh.
so many.
interesting.
Yes.
What is that spelled?
What is that spelled?
What does that spell do?
Oh,
So, because of my class, I get control air and water.
okay.
I don't know what that is, unless it's saying that I get control air and water, and fog cloud is how I'm controlling air and water.
Hmm.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's just what. Um,
So I'm looking at this thing and I'm just like, I didn't realize how useful some of these base races actually were. Like, elves have got it going on.
well, not all of the elves are base races.
I know, but like, so Wood Elf here is on its own has some really good stuff going for it. Got dark vision. It has proficiency in perception skills. It has advantages against being charmed, and magic cannot put him to sleep. So Fey ancestry. It has trance, so it only needs 4 hours of meditation a day, which counts as a long rest. Elf weapon training, we already covered that. As fleet of foot, so extra 5 feet of movement. And Mask the Wild, you can attempt to hide even when you are only lightly obscured.
Yep.
Really, really, really cool stuff.
That means you can hide behind monkey.
I know. Which
You
is
might
really
not be able to hide behind me though.
what race are you?
Triton.
Yeah, you may not be big enough.
Yeah, no. I am.
Actually, I didn't ask what race Monkey is. No, he's a Minotaur. So yeah, I can hide
Yeah,
behind
he's a
him.
minotaur. I am 99 pounds soaking wet.
As their Triton, I'm sure you're soaking wet quite often.
Yeah. 4 foot 10 inches.
Yeah, you're a tiny boy.
Let's see here. Where did I stay? There he is.
Oh. No. No.
No.
No. No,
What
no,
are we
not
doing?
you, not you. I just opened up the little drop down in the Epic of Theros campaign on D&D Beyond, and McDucky Face is bringing back Tashana.
Oh, she's not. She's being a barbarian. That was just her placeholder so that she could look at the book.
Okay.
I said the same thing. Then I was like, oh wait, no, she said she was going to be a barbarian.
Okay.
No, Xanos or how am I going to pronounce this?
Xanos?
Zanos,
Barath. I do it.
Zanos Abaras. Word. But he is. He would 100% kill Tashana.
Just on
He would
principle?
just on principle
Okay.
because yeah. Well, no, I'm not gonna spoil the backstory, but okay.
Yeah, I should really get something together for a.
Let's just say I will say this. Let me go find the actual quote so that I'm not giving away anything that you can't find readily available on the internet.
Okay.
Um so the god that I worship is equally likely to strike down a mortal with a bolt of lightning as he is to give them a bolt of inspiration.
Okay.
Um he let's see here. Where's I can gain favor with him by killing somebody that I deem and he also deems as being someone without thought.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. The exact wording: smiting the unwise and foolish in Kronos' name. My God would actually be pleased with me if I did that.
So Mumbles has given me a misfire rating on this bow.
Yeah.
And right now it's at a 3. He says that with practice, I can get that down to a 1.
Uh-huh.
I just realized just how broken that is on this particular character. Because a 4...
Lucky.
What?
Lucky and indomitable.
No, even more so. I have trance, which means I only need 4 hours for a long rest.
Huh?
So I can rest for 4 hours, and then for the rest of the 4 hours while everyone else is still sleeping, I can get up and practice my bow. Because he says all I have to do is role play practicing with my bow, and I can do that every time the party takes a long rest. By design. He has no idea how broken this thing is.
No, he really doesn't. And he won't until session 15 or so.
No, he'll figure it out pretty quick. I do gotta come up with a better name though, because Ripon Mounier is not particularly. It doesn't flow like I was hoping it was going to. I mean, if you get the if you speak French well enough, you kind of understand where I'm going with it. But most people aren't going to get the French, and then they're just going to go, I don't want to pronounce that, so they're just going to not talk to him at all. Which I mean is fair because no one likes him anyway.
Oh! I need your help.
Yes.
Speaking of pronouncing names, so I have decided that Leoric is not going to bother learning people's names.
Gotcha.
So he gives them a nickname instead.
Gotcha.
So he's calling Jolin Tusks.
Okay.
Because he's big and strong and bullheaded.
Okay.
Although those aren't tusks, those are horns. But it's Leoric.
Okay.
He calls Wallachon Wallaby, strictly because I made a typo one night.
Okay.
And I need help with everybody else. I'm thinking Wolfie for Wesley, because he's kind of like
So I'm not
Crowley.
I'm not presently familiar enough with all the characters. Let me go here and see. Is there like a listing of the characters anywhere that I can gain to? I can help you out here. Bring people? Nope, those are just regular folks. Character chat. Descriptions. There we go. Aha! Descriptions.
Yes.
At least I have pictures. All right. So Halen. No. All right. So Kalen is Monkey's character,
Correct.
and he is some sort of elf.
He is an elf. Yes.
Okay.
Despite the green, the horns, and the spikes.
Looks like a goblin. like a weird cross between a goblin and a dragonborn, but
Well, he's cursed by a demon, so.
Okay.
Or not. I don't know. I haven't heard his backstory, but he's a warlock.
So, based on like the spikes and the horns and the green color, make him some sort of foliage, like hedge.
Well, I'm going plant or not plant based, animal based on all of these.
Oh,
because druid.
Well, I mean,
I guess I could go plant based too.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at him, he looks like a tree, like, or like a bush or a hedge or something like that.
But what I mean, it would have to be something that would just roll off the tongue. Like I can't call him shrubs.
Why not? I mean,
Because I don't feel like
that actually like
this is
that works.
okay.
Like that's
um,
legit. I mean,
okay. So I've got Kalen is now shrubs. Okay.
or you can go full on Monty Python with it and call him shrubbery.
Hey, shrubbery. Come here for a second. That went Australian. That wasn't supposed to be Australian.
But yeah, like the
Hey, shrubs. Come here for a second.
mm-hmm.
Shrubs. Is he talking to me?
Dylan, pretty sure this is
I refuse to call Crane Crane just because he's already got the name Crane. So I have llama written down for him because he shoots bullets, and that reminds me of the spitting llamas.
okay. That could probably, but we'll figure that out here in a second.
Yeah,
All right. So, who do you have so far? You have Kaylin.
I have Kalen, Wallishan, and Jolin.
Okay. All right. So I can complete Joel here. So, okay, Marinos.
Marino.
He's a fighter
Um,
or good enough, close enough.
Close enough. I think he is a fighter.
Okay.
Oh no, he's a paladin. He's a
Paladin,
paladin. Yes, because he's got Oath of the Sea.
Hmm. Looking at his character picture right now. Come back to him. uh,
I have written down for Marinos turtle.
that could work. Or tortoise.
Yeah, but turtle in southern sounds better
Turtle.
than tortoise. Hey,
Tortoise.
turtle, come here.
Let's come back to him.
Okay, so
Or,
for
or you could go like Texas Southern and call him armadillo, but that's
hey, armadillo. I kind of like that. Armadillo, come here.
Dix, Wesley, and Crane. Okay.
So for Vix, I've got Raven. I'm not really married to that,
Yeah, like
but
her
Vix
clothing is dark, but her hair is
Vix
white.
is a sorcerer, I believe.
What do we know her race?
We don't, but she's a changeling.
Okay.
But we don't know that.
Okay.
She currently looks like a human.
Gotcha. Call her Lily. Because lilies are white and she's got white hair and white skin. Freakishly, and at least according to this picture.
She doesn't like the sun much. Yeah, but Lily sounds too much like a real name.
Call her Moonflower.
That's I think that's too many syllables for a southern boy.
Syllables.
Yeah, too many syllables. Like I would like it to be one syllable.
Okay.
Or have the ability to be turned into one syllable through southern vernacular. Like armadillo.
Armadillo quickly turns into Dilla.
Yeah. Hey, come here, Dillo.
Maiden, Pro. Ooh. So what's more? What is what? So great southern expression is darlin'. And if you're going with a bird kind of thing, why don't you call her starlin?
Starlin?
Starling. It's a type of bird. But then you southernize it and you go, rather than be darlin', it's starlin.
Hmm. No, I'm not liking that one.
Nobody likes my suggestions. They keep asking for help.
I could call her Crane and confuse everybody.
I mean, why not? Looks like a white sandhill crane to me.
Ooh, starfish. What about starfish?
Ooh,
You're right. That doesn't fit her at all.
not at all. I mean, crane could work.
No, because that would just confuse work and everybody else. Because he'd be like, "Hey, Crane, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her. That's Crane, but my name is Crane. Oh, whatever you say, llama."
So it's
That that would be an entire session, and I'm not sure I could even handle that.
okay. So if we're going birds, white birds. We have
It
cranes.
doesn't have to be a bird.
Oh, I'm using what you started with. Cranes, swans, doves. Uh,
Ooh, I like dove.
dove.
Yeah,
Okay, dove.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Wesley and Crane. Da, da.
Wesley is a cleric, but I I don't know what kind of cleric he is. He seems very mysterious and dark.
Um.
Well, yes, but I don't know what idea he has
Oh,
for a
you mean
cleric.
what domain he is? Hmm. Do-do-do-do. Hmm.
I could easily just look.
I mean, assuming that this is a generally
Twilight domain.
Twilight domain. Like you should have someone where like it's almost like you're intentionally insulting them. He
I
seems
figure
to
that's what shrubs would be.
No, that's not an insult at all. You're just what are your mind two of?
If I was going to insult anybody in this party, it would probably be Wallishan.
Who are already calling Wallaby.
Yeah,
And why have you singled out Wallishan other than the fact that they're played by Brokebutt?
because they're played by Brooke, but also they're a drunkard
Okay.
um, who apparently tried to help me last night just because they're trying to ensue chaos. But I mean, Leoric's just trying to help and
Mhm.
the animal, which that was a little bit of a spoiler.
Uh, Weird idea. Why don't you
Uh-huh.
call Wesley Lupin? It's Lupin is the Germanic or French word, I can't remember which one, for wolf. And if he's a Twilight cleric, that kind of works out.
I don't know how you spell that, but I'm spelling it the way I can read it.
Lupin.
I spelled it loop in.
That works too. That's how you pronounce it anyway. Lupin.
Hey, Lupin, come here. Oh, uh, it means wolf in my goodness.
I think it's French.
Oh, well, that ruins it. In Zimnian. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, I get.
Zimnian
Actually, it's Latin. So
is it Latin.
yeah. So I mean, they're all Romance languages, so it all kind of works out. How we got wolf out of lupine from Latin, I don't know, but because we're in English and it says our word for wolf is wolf.
Really? I didn't know that.
Just amazing how that works out. I like how
I can't.
Crane's face has already been slapped.
Oh yeah, he has a burn scar
Oh,
from being slapped.
he has a burn scar from being slapped.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I feel like I should tell him in some regard that the biomechanics of how this particular slap is on his face, I don't think works very well because the thumb is at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too.
And I'm like, this is just messing with like this. I don't think this works.
Maybe it wasn't a slap. Maybe it was like a hand up against the face.
Yeah, but like the biomechanics, so that's clearly like a right hand coming over the top and back around the side.
Yeah, but like maybe they had him on the ground with his head pushed into the dirt,
and they're pushing him
had their
down.
hand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. We'll find out. It's part of his backstory.
Crane is calf.
Calf?
Calf. He's young. He's a cowboy.
Oh, I mean, I can't argue with that logic. So, we have Crane as Calf, Kalen as Shrubs, Marinos as Armadillo, Vix as Dove, Wallashawn as Wallaby, and every time I say Wallashawn, I almost say Wallaby, so that's going to work out real well. Wesley as Lupin, and Jolin as Tusks.
All right. Oh, yeah, you're good. Yep, that's everybody.
Yep, that's everybody.
Perfect.
And then Leoric is Leoric.
Mm-hmm. How could you ever ask for more?
Yeah. This is going to be fun. I've already called Wallashawn Wallaby a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I called Jolin Tusks a couple of sessions ago, but he wasn't there. That was when Mumbles was playing him, and I don't think Mumbles picked up on it.
Right.
But I haven't had the chance to talk to anybody else and call them.
I
I have. I just didn't
right.
call them by their name. I just
interacted with them without actually addressing them.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I was described last session as bombastic. I was like, that pretty much sums him up. Yeah.
That's fun. Let's see. Okay. We got Tuesday, we got Friday. DeLorean, Candy, Muppets. What are we missing? Oh. Yes.
I saw this earlier today. I can find it again. I wanted to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
And I will have to. I don't know if I should send it or just straight up put it in the Discord.
Up in the Discord.
I will preface this by saying it has to do with religion and the Bible, Christianity.
So what you're saying is that I'm not going to get to bed here for.
Oh, where's it at? Maybe I can find it better by looking through my Profile.
Oh, you're looking at that. Oh Lord.
What?
Apparently, Friendly is not paying attention to the chat because
What do you mean?
he just asked me if I'm going to have time to talk with him before session tomorrow.
What do you mean he's not paying attention to the chat?
I mean, he's apparently not paying attention to the Mavericks chat at all because he is under the impression that we are having a session tomorrow.
Did he message you directly or something?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What'd he say?
He asked me if I'm going to have time to chat before the session tomorrow.
Did you message him back and be like, have you read the general chat recently? Like since Friday? I'm gonna have to go through these carefully because apparently, oh, here it is, right here. Share, copy a link. Here and paste.
See what we got. Oh.
Din, 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 din.
He's asking me what's up. I'm gonna tell him to just do his homework like he should anyway. All right. All right. So before I get into this, if I start reading this, am I going to find a swear word in here, Masters? It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's all scripture. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, name of the post. If you're a Christian or a Jew, killing your children if they curse at you is very important. Odd thing to start into. One of the forgotten rules of the Bible is that foul-mouthed and disobedient children must die. Not sure why. I found 5 verses that make it clear. Okay. Exodus chapter 21, verse 17. Whoever curses his father or mother shall be put to death. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 9. For anyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother. His blood is upon him. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 18 through 21. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and though they discipline him, will not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of the city at the gate of the place where he lives, and they shall say to the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. All the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. All Israel shall hear and fear. And here's Jesus himself chastising Jewish authorities for not following God's law. Matthew chapter 15, verses 3 and 4. Jesus replied, And why do you break the command of God's law for the sake of your tradition? For God said, Honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses his father or mother is to be put to death. Repeated in Mark chapter 7, verse 10. Side note to the Christianity apologists that say Christians don't have to follow the Old Testament laws, Jesus implies otherwise in that last parable. So what's up, Christians and Jews? Why aren't you doing this anymore? Okay, this person is very bitter and clearly has done a little bit of homework, but not enough. Yeah. All right. First off, I'm going to absolutely destroy his argument regarding Jesus and the New Testament. When Jesus says this in Matthew chapter 15 and in Mark chapter 7, that is still under Old Testament covenant. That is still under the law of Moses. The law of Moses was not, nothing was done in regards to rescinding or anything else, the law of Moses, until after Jesus died, was buried, and rose again. That's the first part. That's why so there's another gigantic debate that people have in regards to salvation, in particular about the thief on the cross. They say, well, Jesus said that, today you should be with me in paradise, and they try to use that as an argument to say they don't have to be baptized, they don't have to receive the Holy Ghost, they don't have to repent, they don't have to do anything. They just, as long as Jesus, knows my heart, I can get into heaven. Well, yes, that's true, but their context for that is under old covenant, and not under New Covenant. New Covenant, there's very clear, simple, set forward guidelines, and if you want to have guarantee of eternal life, you should probably follow those guidelines. If you don't want to, that's your prerogative. You can do what you want. I just know that for me in my house, I'm going to be like, if it says it and it's simple and it's easy to follow, I don't see a reason not to do that. So his last premise here, number one, is inaccurate. He is trying to say that this is something that is applicable to New Covenant, and like expressly this is Old Covenant. So his final premise there is right off the bat incorrect. Yes, friendly, it's canceled. Wow, he just responds back to me. Oh, all right. So additionally, in particular, so he is correct. It does. I mean, it's the Bible. I'm not going to argue with the Bible, what it says here in Exodus chapter 21 and Leviticus chapter 20 and Deuteronomy chapter 21. However, he should pay attention in particular to Deuteronomy chapter 21 because that is the one that repeats the command with the most amount of context. And that context is very, very, very important. I'm taking this directly from a man who's done a lot more research on this than I have because I didn't pay that much attention to this, and which is kind of a sad thing to me because I particularly really, really like Old Testament law. Most people don't. They think it's boring and tedious and mind-numbing, and I really get into some of the details on it. But until I actually heard this explained by somebody else, I never really paid this much mind at all. So that's a strike against me. But in Deuteronomy chapter 21, it gives the fullest amount of detail about this, and it says very strikingly, very straightforwardly. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father and the voice of his mother, and though they discipline him, will not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold on him and bring him out to the elders of the city at the gate of the place where he lives, and they shall say to the elders of the city, "This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones. Purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Now, here's the thing. Was this ever done?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but no, but I already know the answer.
I don't.
So I do know the answer, or at least the historical answer. And not that I've done particularly the historical research, but I have heard from folks who have done the historical research that in fact after this verse came out, this never happened. Ever. There's a reason for that. So up until this point, Exodus 21, Leviticus 20, both of those verses were done. Like straight up, whoever curses father and mother shall be put to death. For anyone who curses father's mother shall surely be put to death. But it wasn't done in the legal context. It was, this kid is out of hand. I can't deal with him. They would either kick him out of the house, he'd become a criminal, or they would say, well, it's better that he just doesn't, cause trouble for anybody else, and his parents would kill him quietly. When the Levitical law, or the law of Moses, was handed down, he says, no. God says, you don't kill your kid. If he is being unruly and you cannot properly raise him or discipline him, fine, we can end his life. But there's a legal process. There's a legal remedy to that. So you must bring him to the elders of the city at the gate of the place where he lives and say that he is stubborn and rebellious and won't obey you. And then we'll get the whole town together and we'll stone him together. Now, most people, when they hear this, they're going to go, oh, you know what? Maybe we can work with things out. Because when you bring the whole town together and say that my son is rebellious, what you're really saying to the entire assembly there is that you're a bad parent. And you're not raising your kid right. And what self-respecting person is going to take a look at themselves, take a look around their community and go, yeah, I want all of my friends and everybody who knows me to know and associate me with being a bad parent? Probably not that many, right?
Probably next to none.
Exactly. And so by implementing this law as a legal civil remedy to a disrespectful and rebellious son or child, whatever, they made it so that this was almost completely taken out. And don't just take my word for it. My source is a man named Dennis Prager. He is a practicing Jew, and he has done.
You can't say that name around here.
Around
here, I mean in the subreddit where we got this message from.
I'm sure you cannot.
I have posted one of their videos before from PragerU, and got told that I'm not allowed to post baseless. What did they say? It was baseless propaganda without context.
It's not basis propaganda. He went into the historical records and looked it up. Can't kill it.
Hey, I'm just saying what I was told, okay?
Like, he's a practicing Jew. According to his own profession, he still follows the Jewish law. Who is a better source than the guy who's still following Jewish law? Ooh. And if you would like to get more information on this, there is, I believe, a PragerU video on this. You can look that up. I'll actually try and find it to throw into the chat here, into the Discord.
Gonna throw the PragerU video into Discord, but it's.
But
I always found the name of Discord to be funny.
Yeah, I get you. I'll find it here. It's in here somewhere. I may have to go on a watching spree of PragerU videos. Oh, the horror. But
the video I got told that on, they were talking about. I think they were talking about the wage gap. And I had just watched the video that PragerU had done about the wage gap, where a black woman is talking about the wage gap. And their big thing is it targets blacks, or targets colored people and women the most. It was like, well, she was a black woman speaking about this, so she's not biased or anything. She's just spouting the real numbers, and they're like, no, that's propaganda. Okay.
Why? Well, I mean, if you're going to make that claim, you should be able to back it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they've got all of their sources in there from where they did the research. Where are your sources that says this is just propaganda?
Yeah, they cite their sources. Yeah.
That was probably 3 or 4 years ago, though.
Yeah. But PragerU actually does a very good job of explaining, and Dennis Prager in particular, and not just from the YouTube channel, but he also has written a series of books, or is writing a series of books called The Rational Bible. I strongly recommend that as well. I own one of them and will probably own more of them as soon as I can stop buying guns long enough to do that. But yeah, it's leaf animals. I'll have to just watch their whole religion section. I know, tragedies. But it's like he does a really good job of explaining precisely what he means. So yeah, this is not just explaining it, but being like, yes, here are the historical sources that says that as soon as they implemented this, where you would have to publicly admit to being a bad parent, everybody stopped admitting to be a bad parent. Shocker. I mean, um, uh, hmm. So yeah, his apparently he would not be open to my um well that's the thing. So everybody on here has already made up their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like you can
I mean, it's r/atheism. What do you expect?
You could go to the next guy down. He says, I'm honestly very glad for every Jew or Christian who marks out, misinterprets, reinterprets the Bible to mean something other than what it really says, because what it really says is often quite horrific. So if some individual interprets a line like "leave nothing alive that breathes" to mean something like more like "buy everyone a croissant," well, I would really be interested to see where he finds that anywhere. I mean,
Well,
the line is in the
sarcastic.
I know, but the line is clearly in the Bible, and it is not interpretable any other way. I mean, and people try and like so I am a fundamentalist on a lot of things Christian wise. This should not be a surprise based on any of the positions that I've espoused at any point. But and so I mean not but and so because of that, I fully embrace all the messed up stuff that happened in the Old Testament. Oh, yeah. Guess what? And people say, well, that's not happening right now. You're right. It's not. We are listening. There's a teaching on theology called dispensationalism, which I largely ascribe to, that says that there are different dispensations that humankind goes through based upon the covenant of God that they are currently living under. So, in the Garden of Eden, it's innocence. After that, I forget the one after that is. That's very helpful, isn't it? Human government. Human government is after the flood. Then there's the Law of Moses, fifth one. Currently living under the dispensation of grace. And then the millennial reign will be the seventh one. But that notwithstanding, the fact that we live under a different dispensation or a different covenant with God than we have before means that he's going to treat mankind just a little bit differently to be within the bounds of his own agreement with us. And when we go into the transition period between this covenant and the next covenant, it's going to get a little bit rough for a lot of people. And then especially so at the end of the seventh, like, okay, now we're done. Everybody dies. Don't really have I don't have any issues with that. Also, people this is one of those things where I just get looking through the comments here, get upset. So one of the guy comments, you forgot the first rule of Christianity. We get to ignore the Old Testament here and there as we see fit. Circumstances depending, of course. It all makes sense. Trust me, don't sweat the details. And some guy responds back and says, unless it's about gays, then the Old Testament still counts. Well, surprise, surprise, that's also in the New Testament. Good luck getting through Romans and Ephesians and Galatians and Philippians. And I mean, 1 Corinthians, like, kind of mentioned there too. Just throwing that out there. I'm not saying you have to believe me. It's also in 1 Peter, I believe. First or 2 Peter, I forget which one. Pretty sure it's 1 Peter. Just throwing that out there, be that as it may. And there is a defined talk about the delineations between Old Testament law, particularly the law of Moses, because that's what people refer to when they talk about the Old Testament law anyway, where there is the ceremonial law, which is referring to the tabernacle. Well, we don't really have a tabernacle anymore. We don't have to worry about, ram skins dyed red or badger skins or anything. That's not really something that's on our typical everyday agenda. There is the moral law that does certainly come into play, and then there's the civil law, which was designed to govern a particular group of people. That covers this. So yeah, the moral law, yeah, that is still in effect. God, and it is still in effect because God reiterated pretty much everything that would be in that Old Testament moral law in the New Testament at some point. Don't fornicate. Oh, gee, if only he had said something about that in the New Testament so that I could believe it. Yeah. That's I don't get I don't get upset kind of stuff. No,
no, you're perfectly
perfectly
level-headed.
calm, perfectly calm. Not like that was so when the Spirit of God was poured out on the Gentiles, there became a question as to what was actually required to be a Christian believer at that point, because the Gentiles had the Holy Ghost, and they're like, we don't know how to deal with this. Well, they prayed about it, and they came back with an answer. And they said, do 3 things. Don't eat something with blood in it. Don't eat something that's been strangled. Don't eat something that's been, a lot of eating restrictions. Don't eat something that has still has blood. Don't eat something that's been strangled. Don't eat something that's been offered to idols. And hey, stop fornicating. That was about it. That was their list. Now, other things got added to that. Not really added to that, but I got clarification on it. But like, because there's some things that that just generally people shouldn't do as Christians. Like, we're thought poorly of. Hey, or just would make you it's something that would make people think poorly of you as a person in general. And we are commanded to be of good report both within and without. Oh my word. I have to close this Reddit because I'm getting angry. Just like the level of stupid. Like they're talking about Christians reinterpreting things. I like how this verse in Deuteronomy seems to say, if your son will listen to you, then go to the authorities and make up stories about him until they kill him. No. That's not at all what it says. If you go into the context of the verse, it's saying that, like, if he's stealing from you and going out and like, wrecking your house and holding a drunken party every Thursday night, you might want to have a conversation with the lad to discuss his behavior. Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
And also stupid people who don't know how to answer questions like this. My parents are Jewish. Me and my 2 brothers are not. My father always desperately tries to argue that Judaism is just, but it just ends with statements like this. Oh, no, I'll read it the way he has it written. But it just ends like statements like. It just ends like statements like. Okay, well, that's not my interpretation. Or what about the good parts of the Torah? Those aren't answers. Particularly if you're going, okay. Christianity, I think, has a great failing where it has no learning requirement. You don't have to know anything to be a Christian. I think that is a great fallacy of our. Okay, technically you don't. There is a command in 2 Peter that says, but grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which means you're supposed to know something. But we just don't really apply that one. We just kind of ignore that whole idea and just kind of wallow along in the malaise of ignorance. Jews don't have that excuse. It's part of the program. You have to know the Torah. You're required by the age of 12 to be able to recite the entire thing in Hebrew. Well, that's not my interpretation. Well, what about the good parts of the Torah? I'm sorry. Did you read it? Don't try and shoehorn around it, waffle, or just end around the question entirely. Answer the question. You have the information. It's right there in front of you. Yes. Oh.
Yeah, I subscribe to our atheism for kicks and giggles. And for conversations like this, where I can just be like, so Gavi, this person's obviously stupid. What do you think about them?
Look at this idiot. somewhat Christian here, but I believe curse meant more of like a spell or something than a curse word. Honest response here. Cool. And the bit about the stoning rebellious kids to death? I don't agree with that. What? Like, okay, atheists, I will give you guys a full pass. I want to find this guy and beat him soft. Like,
Oh my God.
response to it. We understand you don't follow your holy source entirely. No kidding. Look at 98% of all Christians. They don't follow it at all. Okay, here's the thing. In the Quran, it says that if you encounter a Jew or a Christian who righteously fulfills all the commands that they know to fulfill out of their book, that they are saved under Muslim law. Fight me. I'll beat you with your own book. Of course, the fact that I can beat them with their own book means that I am also violating that same principle, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyway, I forget where I was going with that. Okay. I'm going to stop. That's going too far. Right. Yeah. Okay, well, no, I'll go there. So the Muslims say that if you encounter a Christian who is following the commandments of their own book, that they are saved under Muslim law. Most Muslims assume that all Christians are going to hell based on the fact that they do not follow the commandments of their own book. And in terms of their interpretation of what those commandments are, they're largely correct. Find me a Christian church that acts like real Christians. Find me a Christian who acts like a Christian. Dare you. They're so hard to find. And in fact, when Muslims do encounter people who are living according to the tenets of their own Christian beliefs and tenets and things that they espouse to believe, they don't know how to handle it. I was in Cedar Point, which is a roller coaster park a couple years ago, with a church group. All the church people there look like church people. Muslim guy walks up to us, and he directly approaches like the women of our group. And they're like, so why are you all just not following Muslim law? You're doing this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, this is biblical Christianity lived out right in front of you. I've never seen that before. Well, and we had a little mini Bible study. That's what we do. It's like, hey, well, here's the verse. Here's the fulfillment. Here's the verse. Here's the fulfillment. Oh, I've never encountered this before. Ta-da! Like, it was totally a novel concept to him that there could be a Christian who lives like a Christian's supposed to live. He had never encountered such a concept before. Ooh. Oh, apparently this guy who is kind of a Christian says, okay, thanks for clearing that up. Another reason I don't like the Bible. I'm sorry, sir, if you don't like the Bible, you are not a Christian. I don't care what you say otherwise. If you don't like the Bible, it ain't your thing. I'm just going to let you know. Just give up on that. I would prefer if you... I have great respect for atheists. I really do. Because aside from ones who try and do stupid gotcha questions when they don't know what they're talking about, those guys, I mean, they're trying, and I can respect them for trying. But to a certain extent, it's just problems. But people who claim to be Christian and then provide no verifiable or even remotely apparent evidence to back that up, oh my word, I wish you would not associate yourself with me, because I don't want to be lumped into the same camp as you are. Bonds of fellowship. Yes. Bonds of fellowship. Supposed to love our brother. Sometimes I want to love him to death. I don't have problems. You have problems.
I believe that's a good place to end this tonight, right?
Oh. By the way, no, I'm not reviving Barkham for this.
I was joking because they were talking about bringing in their broken psycho character.
I mean, I could just straight up bring in Decipiat the Conqueror. I don't know. Barkham could be fun. We'll see what happens. You know, this might be the chance to play Barkham. There's always that opportunity. By the way, not Poppy. Friendly wants me to make sure that you're aware that he's inviting you to Thursday night.
Yes, I saw.
Okay. He made sure that I saw it too. A lot. So yes. Holy crap.
Silence.
I actually found someone who gave a semi-intelligent response.
Why are you still on it?
I'm sorry. I'm still here. I mean, I'm here now. There were some people who had a semi-intelligent response, but just yeah. If you're going to ascribe to a certain particular belief, no matter what it is, I believe that, and I would expect really that if you're going to say you are a thing, then you should not only be that thing, but it should be very obvious that you are that thing, and that you then pattern the rest of your life accordingly to continue to be that thing. I don't believe that should be in any way, shape, or form a difficult concept to wrap a mind around. Apparently, I'm wrong, and I'll accept that. But I don't think that should be that difficult of a concept to wrap somebody's mind around. Anyway, let's try and wrap this up here, Master. I'll try. Are you happy now that you?
Yes.
I'm so
my night is complete.
so glad. I'm gonna have to find this PragerU video, but that'll be a nice way to not be angry. Those really do. Those are good. Yes. Anyway, thank you all for watching, tuning in, whatever the case might be. We appreciate your kind attendance and attention during this entire 3-hour-long monstrosity. If you are a fan or you like what you heard, please feel free to like and subscribe if it's your first time here. If it is
I want to go seek out a therapist.
That too. If you do enjoy this, and you are a new person or an old person, please do share this stream. That is what helps us to grow. Someday we have an aspiration to actually get to 4 viewers. Someday it may happen. Viewers, listeners, whatever the proper terminology is. I get the feeling like we do actually have more than 3. But I have no evidence really to figure out who those people might be. I just have our Podbean analytics, and there are more downloads than 3 people could do for the number of episodes that we have. So, I don't know who the other people are. They may only be downloading and going like, nope, and then just immediately getting rid of it. But for the moment, and actually some of these actually have like 6 plays. Interesting, very interesting. I didn't even see that. One has 3. That one is 6, 5, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 7, 7. Holy crap! What happened at 7? Alrighty, that was good. That explains why that one had so many views.
What?
Chunky peanut butter. Episode 1 has 19 views? What?
Got
Are you-
22 on. It's got 22 on YouTube.
I know, but like on Podbean. Who are you people? Anyway, have you nothing better to do with your time? I mean, last episode is much more in line with everything. It has no views. So yeah. Anyway, has been fun, Masters, as it always has been. Everyone, please again, like, share, subscribe. Wonderful things. Help us grow this podcast. For some reason, show world. And we will see you all next time. Hopefully with another fantastic episode of The Mandalorian already watched and just doing good things. Anyway, good night, everyone. Goodbye.